It's time to add some spice to your nooner. Nooner funny. This is the place where big-time guests, bold opinions, and little cute doggies come together. This is Rothman and Ice.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus, the #1 rated windows and doors in Columbus.
All right, welcome aboard. It is a Tap Dance Tuesday, big week. Ohio State and the Hoosiers at the shoe, high noon, waiting on the coach. And as soon as CB gives me the thumbs up, we will take you there. I'm Anthony Rothman. To my right is the second Ryan on the show today. Ryan Day will start, and then we go to the poor man's Ryan Day, Ryan Baker. Good to have you, my man.
I'll take that. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, and that wasn't an insult. I mean, I clearly believe that Ryan Day probably makes more than you. So when I say a poor man's Ryan, it just kind of fits.
It's tough to say. We're probably in the same tax bracket.
Absolutely right. You guys have the same lifestyle for sure. Maddie's out today, so you will carry his weight. I know you can. We'll have a little bit of CFP projecting today. We'll also have Tyvis Powell, as we usually do on a Tuesday, and then we'll have Austin Ward in the final hour at 2:33. We may even, dare I say, go up to the front office and bring in the handicapper to the stars, Scotty Vegas.
Oh, boy.
To handicap the CFP for us in the 1 o'clock hour. You say, oh, boy, as a, oh, boy.
You have derailed.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll derail the show at 1 o'clock, and we'll get into a little fantasy this hour as well. The betting narrative on this game has gone up. We'll give you the details on that. I was asking CB before the show. You asked me, actually, before the show. And I don't want to get into it too much because we are just tap dancing because I'm assuming the coach will be there. But I did ask CB about how far he will go today with a press conference. And I do feel like you're going to get some questions about the opponent today. If you think about the last couple of weeks, we've gone through pressers with no questions about the opponent. Let's find some.
This is a live feed of Ryan Day's weekly press conference, sponsored by the Roofing Guys.
It's going to be, a huge opportunity for us to show a nation what the best damn fans in the land look like. And so I've talked about it on the radio show, and this is going to be that type of game where, we got to be loud on third down every time they have the ball, and certainly the atmosphere is going to be tremendous. So looking forward to this week of prep and challenging our guys this week to have the best week of preparation they've had all season, and then get after it on Saturday.
All right, great. Thanks, Coach. We'll open the floor up for questions. Gabe Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, when you guys win the toss, are you ever tempted to take the ball first? Let's take weather out of it. Weather's a neutral. Are you ever tempted to take the ball first and get some momentum?
Yeah.
Most coaches decide to kick off, but are you ever tempted to take the ball first?
Yeah. And, we try to make that decision based on the game and what's going on, but just decided to defer last week, which allows you an opportunity to get the ball in the second half and do some good work in the middle eight. So, you think about those things going in, but we decided to defer last week. And, it's fine when you get a 3 and out. It's not fine when, you're not getting them off the field on third down and, they're kind of controlling the first quarter. So it kind of led to a slow start. But it really wasn't so much the decision as it was the execution.
At tight end, how do you feel about your tight end room overall, and how close is Will to coming back?
Yeah, he's gonna get out there and practice this week. We'll see how he does, and we're hoping to have him available for Saturday. And the tight end room is growing, and we're getting more and more guys out there, which is good for our team.
Over to the right, Adam Cake, WBMS.
Kind of a sidebar, but did you see the play on Jeremiah there in the Northwestern game, and did you guys turn that into Big Ten?
Yeah, we did. Well, we turned it in, and I think we're waiting to hear back.
Is he doing okay?
Yeah. Yep. Good to go.
And then you guys the playoff starts early, almost for you. Everything is championship from here on out. How do you mentally prepare for that, knowing it could be, you hope, 6 straight games of tough competition?
Yeah, you can't look at it that way. We're going to approach every game the same way, and it's going to come down to our leaders leading the way and using the experience that they've had late in the season the last few years. And I think that's one of the things about this team is that these guys have been through multiple seasons together, and so it's easy to lose focus when you're young on what's going on across the country, or what's going on in the future, what's going on in the past. The most important thing is focusing on what's going on right now, and we got a top 5 matchup right here at home, and we got everything on the line, opportunity to go to Indy, reach our goals. So, we'll talk about that in the team meeting today, but I know our guys are focused. Started on Sunday night, had a great Sunday. Those guys, we're getting some extra work in here on film yesterday, and so, we have a great week of practice, though.
Jeremy Birmingham, the podcast.
Ryan, I know last week there was a lot of discussion about the noon games and how they've been perceived around Big Ten or around Ohio State, but from a recruiting specific standpoint, is there any frustration that it's preventing you guys from maybe getting full accounting what you want to do as a recruiting operation, what it's costing you from guys visiting, et cetera?
Well, the great news is there's going to be a great environment on Saturday, and for our recruits to be able to come in and see that is a huge advantage for us in recruiting. Just to see the rewards of the work that you put in and the fan support and what game day atmosphere is like, and where. For those who are done with their high school year, it's a lot easier for them to come in for a noon game. For those who are a little bit further away, who are still in the playoffs, it's a little bit more difficult for them to get here. So, we manage it the best we can, and we get great coverage on TV. These guys can watch it on TV, who are a little bit further away. So, I think we'll have a great crowd here. I think we got a bunch of recruits coming in. We'll manage it. We don't have anything to do with the times of the games. We just make it work, and those who will be here will really enjoy it.
In the NIL world that we're in now, how much harder is evaluation of assistants when it comes to recruiting? Because there are times when things happen that may be outside of their control.
Yeah.
How are you judging that, or is there a way that it's affected how you evaluate?
Well, I think at the end of the day, as an assistant coach nowadays, you have to make sure you have a room that has depth and that has production. Now, what does that look like? Well, it used to be, like you said, how many guys did you bring in the recruiting class? Now that's a little bit different. One, did you retain the guys that you recruited or were in the program the year before? Two, did you have to, look into the portal to upgrade your room? How did you create depth with the resources that you provided? And, that may be, you can't just sign all first rounders. Like in the NFL draft, you have a first-round draft pick, you have a second-round draft pick, you have a third-round draft pick. Well, it's the same way in recruiting now. You have to, build a room accordingly, and that's the job of the assistant coaches to do that, and the position coach to make sure he's got depth. And you want to bring in guys that you can develop, because that's a big part of our culture. But sometimes you got to fill in holes, and that's each guy's job. So while it was a little bit easier to identify probably a few years ago when you were just looking at who they brought in the high school class, I think it's changing a little bit that way.
Spencer Holbrook, let him roll.
Brian, last time you guys faced a passing offense like this at the end when you guys had some struggling against Oregon, how confident are you that you guys have made the proper corrections, that you're ready for a challenge like this?
Yeah, I think our guys have done a great job of identifying the things that early in the season we need to do a better job at, and so this will be a great challenge for them and a great test to see where we're at. I think our guys are excited to play in this game. It's a very good challenge. They have a very good team. They have good talent at the receiver position, and so I know our guys are excited for the challenge, and I think you've seen improvement in different areas, but again, this will be a great test for them.
Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Brian, I think that touchdown Northwestern scored was just the second touchdown you guys have given up since the Warriors. I know Jim, after losses or even after big games, always says he has better as a teacher for the guys. In your time with him, what have you seen, or how can you explain who Jim is as a teacher? So that when you get into games like Northwestern or even Purdue, when you have to experiment with Jack, guys should prepare for that.
Yeah, I think we all have ownership of what goes on, and that's all of our job to take accountability. I think when it goes the other way, you start to point fingers, then that's not very good for the culture of the team. But we all have to do that, and we have to be honest with ourselves. And even after wins like we've had the last couple of weeks, the issues are still there. We say it all the time, and then being honest with each other, like, is that championship level play? And if so, enhance it. If not, you got to get it fixed. And a big part of that is teaching, like we're talking about. I mean, that's what we are as coaches. We're teachers, and the test is really the game on Saturday. And Do you grade out a champion or not a grade out a champion? If you didn't grade out a champion, you got to figure out what happened, what went wrong. Where along the line did your teaching go wrong? Was it, what you asked them to do? Was it the way that you trained them? And so I think that's, all coaches look at it that way. But when you're a coordinator and you're putting it all together, you're ultimately responsible.
Andrew Gillis, Cleveland.com.
Brad, obviously the next 2 weeks and maybe 3 are obviously very important for you on the field, but National Signing Day is in 2 weeks. So how are you guys kind of planning on juggling that as a staff, where it's the most important part of the season for you guys on the field? You also have to kind of deal with the circus that it is on the field.
Yeah, that's end of November, early December, this time of year. It's been like this now for a few years, a little bit different, I guess, with things getting moved up, but it's just kind of what it is, and you got to recruit every day, but you also have a game you got to go win. And so it's multitasking at the highest level, but we got great people in the, in the building here that help with all of that and help with the communication.
Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
When Will decided to come here, one of the biggest reasons that he decided to come here was because he wanted to develop into a top first, second round draft pick. When you looked at him when he got here in January as to where he is now, where has he taken the biggest step in that regard to being a better NFL prospect?
I think the first thing is he's got a command on how we're trying to run our offense. I think he's got a good handle on protection, the run game. But I also think, he's seeing the route structures and how we do things and progressions better. I think his footwork is timing up better with the routes. I think he's got a good handle on our receivers. He's learning, more and more about third down, red zone, 2-minute. And that's really how you win games as a quarterback as you start to continue to get higher levels of football. So a big part of it is his preparation. Not that he didn't do that where he was before, but you just see it growing each week.
Bill Landis, Kings of the North, in the podcast.
Right, I think Emeka had 12 touches when you guys played Oregon, and I think he's had 12 in the 4 games since then. Are teams doing anything to make it more difficult to get him the ball? Is it ever in your mind as the game is happening, like, hey, we have to make sure Emeka's getting his hands on the ball?
I think one of the things from this year, when you just look at the number of plays we've had, and then when you look at the number of possessions we've had, they're down, and that's because we're huddling and going a little bit slower on offense for a lot of different reasons. But when you also have a game where the end of the game is kind of getting a little bit run into the ground, and those guys aren't playing the last couple of possessions, that adds up too. So I think that plays into it, and I shared this with our team, and I probably shared this with you guys. Down the stretch with our guys, and we have a lot of really good players who want the ball in their hands. But a big part of this team here wants to win, and so we all have to be willing to sacrifice, and we have to be unselfish because we've had guys who have won awards before and had number one this, number one that, but ultimately like this team wants to win, and they have one mindset. So to me, it's not about touches, and the guys have been great about that. I think Emeka's been a great example. I think both running backs have been a great example of that. It's like, I just want to do whatever I can to win the game, and those awards will come over time with a body of work. But there are going to be games where you're going to look at this, the stat sheet and not see as gaudy numbers as maybe we've had in the past. But that's also because of the tempo, how we're on the offense now.
I guess along those lines, I remember last year at Notre Dame, Emeka has a huge game for you guys. Touched the ball a lot against Oregon. He scored against Penn State this year. He does, regardless of how the season's flowing, he seems to have moments when you guys play big games. And I'm not asking you to divulge game plan here, but how much is it on the top of your mind when you're preparing for a game like this? Like, who are your guys that have showed you already that you can count on them in these situations?
Yeah, we try to have a balanced attack going into every game. We try not to just focus on one player or one personnel grouping or one formation. We try to spread the ball around. Now, the coverage will dictate where the ball goes, but where we put the pieces, and I think Brian's always done a great job of that, and Chip is a big part of that as well. As where is everybody at? The ball's not just going here. It's not just going to the receiver. It's not just going to the tight ends. It's not just going to the running backs. We try to move that thing around and not just focus on one guy. We try to spread it around. And then the game is going to go where it goes. But I think our guys deserve that. I think, all of our receivers who play deserve the ball. They work on the perimeter in terms of blocking. They're, very productive. And it's the same thing with the tight ends and the running backs. So I think that also puts the most amount of stress on the defense when you have to defend everybody.
Don Berry, WBNS.
Coach, I don't know how many of us would have predicted a top 5 matchup with Indiana being 10-0. When you look at them, and it's a team that was 3-9 a year ago. What jumps out as you look at this football team?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that I don't think their players get enough credit. I think that coaches have done a great job, and they've done a nice job this year. But the players are the ones who play, and they have good players, and they've done a nice job of changing their roster or upgrading their roster in certain areas. I think they play very hard. They are well coached. They take care of the football. They cause turnovers. They play well in special teams, and their best players play on special teams. Like, for instance, their top running back is back there as a protector in the punt. And which does a lot of things. Like it shows that special teams are important to them, but it also makes you be aware that, hey, there's a running back back there when you're punting. So I think there's a lot of things they've done, but you can see that they've been very successful in everything they've been looking to do in terms of installing a culture, in all three phases. And so it's going to be a great challenge for our team. We're looking forward to it.
Their coach is very confident. He has said some things, collision course with greatness and all this, said some things. Do you pay any attention to any of that stuff that's been said?
Well, everybody has to motivate their team, and certainly when you feel like you have good players, then it certainly gives you confidence. And I think he's done a great job of instilling that. But ultimately, this is always about us, in our preparation. Every week we try to keep the same routine and focus on us. Now, you got to know your opponent. It's very, very important to know their tendencies and what they do. But in order to be consistent week in and week out, you got to keep the same routine, and that's about our routine. That's about our focus and what we need to do, and all the different core values that we believe in terms of winning games, and that'll be the same this week.
Matt Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, not every game, but you guys have had times where if the offense starts slow, defense starts slow. I think you could say Saturday was a little bit of both. When you have looked back at some of those slow starts on either side of the ball, do you see any common connections or things that have been pointed out to try and get those faster starts, which obviously going forward you'll need?
I think we all have the same expectation that every time we touch the ball, we're going to go right down and score, and every time the defense goes out there, we're getting 3 and outs. But the truth is that we play against good teams, and they have good players, and they're going to move the ball every now and again and convert on some third downs and get some stops on defense. So that's part of the game, but we're always looking to do better in terms of our execution. If there's some different things to get thrown out at us, we have to adapt to those things and identify how teams are coming at us. But I see us, right from the jump playing hard. I see us playing physical. I see us playing with an edge, and that's got to continue this week. That's got to carry over into these big games at the end of November. But I think you're used to probably seeing more, like in the past years, again, more possessions. You're just not seeing that. So sometimes those quarters drag on a little bit, or maybe seem to go fast. I don't know how you look at it, but you look at the end of the first quarter and there's only been a couple possessions. You're like, wow, that was a fast quarter. Well, we got to get off the field on third down on defense. But when you get to stop there on the fumble, you're doing your job. So at the end of the day, it comes down to efficiency. And it comes down to a high level of execution when you're not getting as many possessions, and that's what we got to do.
Do you expect, as you get into postseason, that maybe teams will speed up a little bit as they try to not, take the ball from you guys as much as possible? It'll look more like a game we're more used to.
I can see that, yeah. I think it just depends on the team, depends on the matchup, depends on what the other team's looking to do. But I think everyone's going to do whatever they possibly can to win the game, whatever they think that's best, and we have to be able to win any type of those games. But ultimately, it comes down to us, and whether we're getting off the field on third down and keeping the drives going on offense and scoring touchdowns in the red area.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Obviously, when you're evaluating guys as recruits, learn as much as you can about that. Then once he gets into your program, there's maybe things that you couldn't have learned then that you know now. With Caleb, what did you think of him as a recruit? And then what's the thing that he has maybe shown you guys over the last 11 months that even when you guys were evaluating him coming out of high school, you had no idea that he was this?
With Caleb in the recruiting process, you could tell at a young age, he just really loved football. And when you talk football, he was listening, and you better know what you're talking about when you get around him. That's the first thing you realize. And he comes from a football family. His brother, his dad, even mom. They know football now. So that's the first thing. And then you recognize the competitiveness. You saw it in high school. You see it now. He wants to always be involved in the games. I mean, it doesn't matter what the score is. I mean, he's bugging me about getting back in the game. Doesn't matter what the score is. Give me a shot. Give me one more series. I mean, that's just the way he's built, and it's contagious. And his energy, his passion for the game, I think, really carries over to the rest of the guys on the team, and it's infectious.
That IQ that he has, I mean, you see it a lot of times with quarterbacks, right? Like, I think CJ was like this, where he could recount all types of stuff. Can you teach that, or is that something that is just kind of an innate trait that a kid has at his age?
And it's a lot of times it's innate. The more reps you get, guys can start to get a feel for it more and more, but there's just certain things that guys have. They can see things before it happened, and that's the whole idea of anticipating as opposed to reacting. And the more preparation that you do, the more you can anticipate. He does a lot of work. He's here early in the morning. He's here late at night. He's watching film. He's getting extra work whenever he possibly can on the field. And because of that, this is what happens. And this is not just somebody who shows up right before meetings start and goes home when the whistle blows. I mean, he's here. He's working. And that leads to that. So, there are some natural instincts there, but then there's also the hard work that gets put in behind the scenes. It doesn't just, happen. So I think it's a great example for the rest of our players and for our younger players to see somebody who puts in that type of work.
Dan Holt, 11 Warriors.
Indiana's done a good job of putting pressure on opponents this year up front on their defense. Do you feel like this offensive line, the chemistry you've been able to build the last few weeks, is where it needs to be ready for this challenge?
Yeah, this is going to be a great challenge for the offensive line. I know they're excited about it. It's a very good and productive, and they've like you said, put up a lot of numbers and done a great job. They're moving every snap. They're penetrating, and they do a nice job with it. So I think our guys are excited about the challenge, and the game's going to be won up front.
It seems like Donovan's gotten more and more comfortable each week at left tackle. How does that maybe kind of help you guys in terms of being able to game plan now that he's got a few games under his belt there?
Yeah, you know what to expect. I think going into the Penn State game, you weren't too sure because you hadn't done it much. Now at least you have a body of work to work off of. So you know what you're getting right there, and the more he plays it, the more comfortable he's getting.
Tony German, Buckeye Huddle.
How much time is spent with Will talking about what he might see that you guys haven't seen from Indiana at all this year, with the week off that they have?
Yeah, you try to do things that he knows well, but then also have some change-ups. And I think for him, he's got some experience under his belt. He's seen a lot of different things. So if there's things that come up, we'll make adjustments as time goes on. But the good news for him is, he's played a lot of football. This isn't his first, big game that he's been in.
So how much would that change if you're talking with a sophomore rather than a fifth-year guy?
Yeah, that's significant. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because you just don't have those banked reps in your mind. You haven't been through it before. And, have you ever done this before? Yes. Okay, hey, we're going to do this. Have you ever done this before? No. All right, well, it's going to take a lot of work during a week, and you only have a few days to get ready. So, that plays into the game planning part of it, I would say.
Steve Hillway, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach. Curtis Rourke came from Ohio University, and he was a really good run-pass guy at OU. He had over 800 yards rushing in his career, and this year he's netted 17. Now, they played a lot of blowout games. He hasn't had to run the ball, kind of like your quarterbacks in the blowouts, you don't run them. Is that a wrinkle that in a matchup game that you guys are preparing for, that he's got that in his repertoire?
Sure.
Is that something that is involved in preparing for him, and just what do you see with him?
Yeah, no, he's played good football this year, and he has athleticism and can make guys miss and run, and you've seen him, obviously the numbers that he had leading into this season. So we got to make sure we're playing it honest. But I think he's played good football this year. The numbers speak for themselves, and he's very accurate in what he does, and he knows what he's doing. He's played a lot of football, so he's an experienced guy. So again, great challenge for our team.
Pro Football Focus had Lathan Ransom as the number 2 rated safety for however their grades go in the country. I don't know what you guys have him at. Probably pretty high. Seems like he's played pretty well. But just your thoughts about him, and I mean, is it outlandish to think that you have both of the first-team safeties in the Big Ten with Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs? I mean, it seems like they both had a pretty good year.
Well, the first thing I'll say about Lathan and Caleb is they both bring a lot of energy to the table, and they're leaders. And again, energy is contagious. Execution fuels emotion, and they're executing well too. So they need to have great games in this game, our best players have to play well. I mean, that's just the way it goes when you're in these types of games. And I think Lathan, he's played a lot of football here. You're seeing some of the best play right now. He's physical. He prepares. He cares a lot about his teammates. He cares a lot about Ohio State. He came back to win, and I'm glad he's a Buckeye.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Both you and Indiana. Indiana's really rebuilt their team with transfers. You've supplemented the roster with, and all the top 4 guys are really hit the jackpot with. How important has that been, obviously, but more importantly, what's the challenge of fitting those kind of guys into your culture? Because that's probably the key, right?
Yeah, I think what's unique about this situation is that, Coach Cignetti came over from James Madison and brought a core with him. So there was already a group of guys that knew the culture, and then he integrated it with those guys, had some success early, and then it's just kind of grown from there. And I think that's a winning recipe. I think when you come in, without having guys who know, your culture, that's a little bit of a different approach. And, for us, we want to make sure we're retaining as much of the roster as possible on a yearly basis, knowing that that's not possible to do everybody, but to keep the culture alive and to make sure we're recruiting the right people for our program. But, every program has their own philosophies in a different situation and has to respond appropriately. But at the end of the day, it's about, having a team who believes in, what you're trying to get done as a program, and then, also wants to play for each other. That's the thing about this team here. Like, they're not worried about individual accolades or anything like this, especially late in the season. Like, they're focused on winning, and they want to play for each other. And when you have that, you have a chance.
And I'm maybe ask you to state the obvious, but just how crucial have those 4 guys been to the success this year?
Yeah, they've been a big part. Not only just the production, but the leadership. And I think they've also just been respectful of the culture, respectful of the program, and the fact that they didn't just come in and just start, barking at everybody. They earned the respect of their teammates, and then really fell into it. Now, when you look at Seth and Will, they're both playing leadership positions, and so that naturally happened. But they've been excellent in those areas.
Austin Ward, Bobcats.
I can't remember a time that Denzel has ever been lacking in self-confidence, but the last few weeks, and maybe dating back to Oregon, just he looks frustrated. Even the throw on the sideline that he gave up on Saturday, just after the play, he looks frustrated. Are you sensing that from him? What is the confidence level he's working with right now?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a great game this weekend. I think he's going to have a great week of preparation. I had a great conversation with him the other day, and he's excited about playing in this game. And they completed that one on the other day, but he knows he's got to play his best in big games, and I think he's going to have a great week of practice, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play on Saturday.
You mentioned earlier just like the challenge for the pass defense and what Indiana's bringing. The last 4 games since Oregon, what have you guys thought about the evaluation for Denzel and Davison?
Yeah, I think there's been really good, aggressive. There's been other things that we got to get better at, just like everybody else. But we know we're going to get challenged out there. I mean, that's just the way it is. Especially now and in this game, they're going to challenge us on the perimeter. That's just the way it works. So, our guys got to learn from things that have gone on in the past and make those adjustments. And I know Tim and Matt and all those guys are working hard in the back end to make sure that we're giving them the best chance to do that. But the bottom line is, this coaching staff and all of us believe in those guys. We love their competitiveness. We love who they are. They're team players, and excited to see their week of work and excited to see them play on Saturday.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
You guys have faced good receivers before this year in Oregon. Just wondering how this group of Indiana guys, their pass catchers, it seems like they got a lot of guys who've been able to score. Just the depth and the overall, they've got like 4 or 5 guys that had multiple touchdowns this year. What makes them a good receiving corps?
Yeah, they're very productive. They made a lot of plays this year, and looked like they run really good routes and have good ball skills. And so we've played good receivers before, but these guys are just on par with those guys. And so again, we got to get to work this week and make sure that we have a great week of preparation so that our guys know what it's going to feel like on Saturday. But the combination of the route running, the throwing, the catching, and the way that the quarterback and the receivers work has been very productive up into this year. So again, big for our guys this week.
Josh Melton was on the unavailable list now, so just what's his status?
Yeah, he's going to practice today, and we'll kind of monitor as the week goes on.
We'll wrap things up. Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Ryan, how simple does it make it from a motivation standpoint? By the way, thanks, Jared.
how simple does it make from a motivation standpoint to face your team like yesterday and go, we win, we're in, you know, winning takes care of everything? I mean, how simple does it make it in that aspect here in this last three games you want to play in the conference, including the championship game?
Well, it's been like that, you know, really since after the Oregon game.
Yeah.
You know, that hasn't changed. You know, you lose any one of those games, then you're out. So that's not changed. You know, we've always monitor, you know, after the game's over, Saturday night, Sunday morning, what's going on across the conference. We saw, you know, Indiana is becoming a big game. It's now a top 5 matchup. So, yeah, our guys are fired up for this one and know that this is a must-win for us. We got to go win this game to go play in Indianapolis. And I know the team, you know, the coaches, you know, everybody in this building, the fans know what kind of a game this is, and we got to bring it on Saturday.
And the other thing, just 2 quickies. Number one, when you see a Dave Adolph make a play like he did, you know, it's not just the 5-star guys, you know, about this team. I mean, what is it that you really like about the makeup of this team from the standpoint of the guys you brought in, the guys who are have been rising through the ranks, et cetera? Do you feel like you've got that, like, that cohesion you want at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about, you know, when Byrne was asking the question about your room. Yeah. You know, there's a guy right here who, you know, is on a roster, and he's making a difference on special teams. You know, we need those types of guys, you know, on the team. And, you know, how much he gets to play at receiver, you know, we'll see as his career goes on, but he's making a difference on special teams. That's a big deal. You know, you think about where Xavier Johnson was in his career. He made a name for himself on special teams, then became a big player. Those guys, you know, can make or break your team as the season goes on, and they're very critical. So, you know, a lot of guys will talk about, you know, the Jeremiah Smiths and the Carnell Tates, but it's these other guys that are also having a huge impact on these games.
Yeah, and let's think, do you feel like you have, for want of another term, 3 primary receivers right now, like a lot of people thought you might have in this season, meaning Carnell, Jeremiah, and Emeka? And how does that, I don't know, enhance your game planning, so to speak, to know that they've got to prepare for 3 guys? Because, you know, you grew up, you have a primary receiver, I'm sure, New Hampshire. You understand what I'm saying? But,
yeah, we didn't have these 3, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
we didn't have these 3. Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference when you know, it's very difficult to just double or you know, say we're going to take this guy away when you have, you know, other guys on the other side of the ball who can do, you know, what they can do. So, you know, and then again, you have your tight ends, and, you know, I thought the throw and catch to G. Scott in the game, you know, he was lined up on a Mike linebacker there, or I think it was the Will linebacker. They were doubling outside on Carnell. And so, you know, you're one-on-one with the linebacker going down the middle of the field. And so the throw and catch there was excellent. But that's what we're talking about, the matchup there. Or when you look at the Purdue game, they had a linebacker matched up on Travion because, you know, the safety took away Emeka. So, you know, all those things are important when you're trying to attack a defense. Yeah.
Coach, thank you very much.
You've been listening to the Ryan Day press conference on The Fan.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
All right, the over hits, the house rakes, so that's good. I had a couple of people on the under today. My normals, Ryan and Stewie, both went under on 12:32:30. And obviously Tim May knew the lines. He saw them up on the board, so he took that thing over. So we will rake on that. Anthony Rothman, Ryan Baker in for the Iceman today. Anyway, it is good to do a show with you. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad when you called me yesterday and said maybe there was a possibility of this. I was glad you thought of me.
Well, they told me they were looking for a warm body that was in the building. So they said...
And I was going to be here regardless.
That's exactly right. So we wanted to double up on that. No, it's awesome. You and I could probably sit here and talk Jackets for the first 25 minutes, but we will react to Ryan Day. I did find something interesting, and he did give his rightful due to Coach Cignetti, who is taking this country by storm. And I'm here to tell you that, and I told you before, this Hoosier football program has never won 10 games. So I can sit here and say, well, look at their schedule. And it was more than possible this year, but not at Indiana. That's any coach can come in there and give you the blah, blah, blah. We're going to be better. We can win here. Coaches can win here. Like, they can say it. And I've heard guys say it before. Even Tom Allen, who, by the way, was in the program, who was elevated, who had that great year, I think, in 2019, where he won 8 games. still got blasted by Ohio State that year. There's only been 1 year in the last several where Indiana's been in the game, and that was COVID year with Penix and all the receivers, and they came in here with no fans, and they pushed them, and they probably could have or should have won the game. They lost by 7. But you go back and look at the last few, it's 51-10, 54-7. Even in the opener, that 23-3, which is kind of ugly. But no one's done what this guy has been able to do, and it's got the Futek said yesterday, it's got the Barry Alvarez, Wisconsin. It's got the Bill Snyder, Kansas State vibe to it. So what he's doing is historical, but is it miraculous? Ryan Day said today in his presser, and I heard it, and I know you heard it, and I'm not saying he was trying to take a shot at him, but it felt like enough about the coach now. We've heard his story. We know how good it is. Came from James Madison. I win. Google me. We get it. I just thought it was interesting that he said, I don't think their players are getting enough credit. What I heard in that was no one's talking about his players. They're only talking about him.
And I think that is true. Like when you hear about Indiana this year, you do hear, oh, they brought in the 31 transfers or whatever it is, 13 of them from James Madison. Those players wouldn't be there, though, without Coach Cignetti. I mean, he brought them along. He realized, hey, these are the guys that I want with me. These are the guys we need. These are holes we need. And he got them there. But when you do talk about Indiana this year, it's never about, except for maybe Rourke, it's never about the guys on the field. It's always about Cignetti. The thing I took away from this, and this is twice now with Ryan Day, he did it on Buckeye Roundtable last night, and now he did it today in his opening statements. He wasn't even talking about, he wasn't asked a question yet. This was just in his opening remarks. He's twice now said, we need the fans and we need an atmosphere this week. So the Buckeyes know that this isn't going to be a walk in the park. They know that this Indiana team is pretty good. And they know they need every advantage they can get. And with all these noon games, we've heard the atmospheres aren't as great, yada, yada, this and that. Ryan Day has twice now called for the fans to show up big time on Saturday.
So here's the advantage he has. They should already be there. Now, whether he can lead the fans to water, can he make them drink? Game day and Big Noon and Big Ten are all going to be on campus. By the way, he shouldn't have to make the students drink. They probably do that already. I would say that. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. All right. So, but Jim Lachey said it on our program yesterday. Indiana has only experienced this type of crowd in other years, not this year. They didn't experience at the Rose Bowl. They experienced a fairly big crowd, but who knows how long they stayed for the Indiana at Michigan State game. And so most of the good crowds they've experienced have been at home. They beat Michigan State 47-10 on the road.
And I believe, if I'm correct, Michigan State had an early 10-0 lead in that.
They did. There were 68,000 people, supposedly, who bought tickets to that game. I don't know how many were there when it really mattered or once that game got out of hand. Indiana went to the Rose Bowl early in the year to take on UCLA. 47,000 fans. Great environment. It's Pasadena. And they played great, and it was a great experience for them to go on the road and just whack them 40-13. They went to Northwestern. They didn't play at Wrigley. They played at the little makeshift stadium on the lake. 12,000 paid. How many were there? I don't know. And that was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. So they have not, to his point, they have not experienced 100,000 plus. And I don't know how many. Listen, Indiana's going to get their tickets. They'll have that pocket of fans in the northeast corner, and that's what they'll have. But they have not experienced this, and he's right. But I also, you also hear a lot of Coach Plato factory, which is jump on them right away, be physical. Where was that at Northwestern? Where was that at Wrigley on Saturday?
Where's that every week, really?
I'm telling you that you can say it all day long. I know, and Bids asked him about, do you want to take the ball? Maybe change it up. Were you tempted to take the ball? While he said yes, he shouldn't have to take the ball to make things happen.
But you would like to think that if they did, let's jumpstart this thing with things we can control. and let's put the hammer down. And maybe, hey, let's start it off offensively from the get-go. Let's get them down. They're not used to this. Let's make them believe that they're not supposed to be here like every other year. I'll push back on one thing you said there about he shouldn't have to hype the players up. And I agree. I don't think you should ever have to hype your players up. But I don't know if everybody's looking at this as a top 5 matchup. Just like I'm not sure we looked at Penn State like a top 5 matchup. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is in the rankings, but even Vegas now and the money coming in, it's up to a 13.5 line now. Ohio State is the favorite. I don't think a lot of people are giving Indiana a shot in this game. And I think that bleeds over into the players, and the players know the history, and they're like, Indiana's no good. They're a basketball school. They haven't played anybody, yada, yada. So I don't know if that's totally true that you don't have to get these players hyped up.
I'm just saying the best thing that happened to this game is that Indiana's 10-0. It's the best thing that could happen.
1,000%.
Because it's the week before Michigan, and Indiana, the old speed bump that Indiana has been for this program, they've got Ohio State's full attention, and they should. But it's what I come back to, you just can't keep hearing about you. A coach can only do so much. I'm with you, because during the Penn State week, and CB will attest to this, I said I don't look at this as top 5 for Ryan Day. I don't. If he wants to put it on his resume and say he beat a top 5 team, that's fine. To me, it was the big picture I was looking at.
And that's not totally fair for Ryan Day that we're doing that, but it is. Like, did anybody think that Penn State was a top? Does anybody think Penn State's a top 5 team in the country now?
Penn State hasn't beaten a team that's ranked in the CFP poll. And that's where they are. So, and it was a good game, and they had them down, and Ohio State had to fight tooth and nail to win it. I'm not taking the win away. I'm just saying that let's not put it in the conversation of that it's the biggest game ever. The biggest game ever is going to be in the playoff, and it's going to be when he's fighting for a national championship. It's a great thing along the way that they had to have, because it's a lot harder to come from the 9 or 10 seed than it would be from getting a bye. Everybody knows that. So it was a big game, and I'm not taking the win away. What I'm saying is, when he won it, it wasn't like you checked the box that you trusted that, okay, now they're good. Top 5 win, we're good now. Every top 5 game they're going to win. Like, that's what I was going at. And I think you're going at the same thing. This should be incredibly interesting on Saturday. If the weather is low 40s, perhaps a little rainy, it probably benefits Ohio State. They're more physical, and they can be more physical in the run game, we'll see, than Indiana. Indiana ran for 40 yards against Michigan in a game they had to have at home, but every game is different. And you asked me before the show, how much of a chance am I giving Indiana? And I say, I'm the wrong guy to ask. The wrong guy to ask. I have 30 plus years of psychology built into it. Were these players that transferred in from James Madison and Cignetti? No, we're going to win a game. I heard that Cignetti kind of teased Don Fisher, the legendary radio voice of the Hoosiers, on Thursday night or last week or sometime earlier this week maybe, about the game being the biggest game in Indiana history. And he got right on him. He's like, no, the biggest games are after you keep winning. Once you're successful, the next game, it was classic coach cliche, is the next biggest win. So we'll see. They certainly believe, and Vegas says don't believe. We'll get to that. We'll come back with Fool's Paradise, as we usually do on a Tuesday. Is a former Buckeye a top 20 play the rest of the way in fantasy? That's next. Rothman and Ice and the Fan.
Join Bobby Mack and Jody Shelley for the Inside Edge, a behind-the-scenes look at all things Blue Jackets.
Wednesday night at 7.
Your home for Jackets hockey, The Fan.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island. We're back on Nada Yada Island Confessions. Benny is about to tell us how he found 2 loves. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks to Metro, I found iPhone 12 and Apple Watch SE.
At Metro, get both iPhone 12 with 5G and Apple Watch SE for only $99.99. Holidays with Nada Yada Yada, only at Metro by T-Mobile.
Bring your number and ID, sign up for Metro Flex Plus, and add a watch line. Not available if you're with T-Mobile. Or pay with Metro in the past 180 days. Limit 2 per account.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Our students need more than backpacks and pencils to succeed in our schools and in life. It takes a whole team of dedicated professionals to meet their needs so they can reach their full potential. I'm Ohio Education Association President Scott DeMauro. This American Education Week, let's stand together in support of the teachers, para-educators, school bus drivers, custodians, secretaries, and so many others who work together every day to serve Ohio's public school students. Because in Ohio, public education matters.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll at healthcare.gov by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum. Here at The Fan, we give you 14 hours of live and local programming every day. We care about you. We live and work in your community. Except Bo Bishop. He won't tell us where the hell he is. Your live and local station. Except Bo. The Fan.
Here, heart care helps you heal faster. Advanced, minimally invasive procedures mean less time recovering and more living life. See how we care for all of you at MountCarmelForYou.com.
At Baths R Us, we're terrible roofers. We stink at installing siding. And don't ever call us for your kitchen remodel. But if you want a stunning, beautiful bathroom makeover in just 2 or 3 days, now that's when you want to call us. See, unlike most contractors these days, we offer only one service, bathroom remodeling. We don't spread ourselves thin by doing roofing or siding and a bunch of other stuff. Nope. At Baths R Us, we dedicate every company resource into mastering the craft of bath transformations. It's why we're the Midwest's biggest 5-star family-owned bathroom company. And it's why we have the happiest customers. Just check out our Google reviews. Baths R Us. We're terrible roofers, but we're awesome bathroom remodelers. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsrus.com. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
Come try Skyline Chili's new Mac and Cheese 3-Way. Made with creamy cavatappi pasta in a 3-cheese blend. Topped with Skyline Chili and their shredded Wisconsin cheddar. The new Mac and Cheese 3-Way. At participating Skyline locations for a limited time.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Time now to get a look at that weather report. A dry afternoon today, mild, high 64. A little bit cooler tomorrow with a high of 58. Rain is expected Wednesday afternoon. Rain transitions to snow on Thursday. This will not be a big snowstorm. I'm thinking anywhere between a dusting to a half inch on grassy surfaces. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you could be looking at 1 to 2 inches of snow. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Let's scratch that fantasy football itch. It's Rothman and Ice's Fool's Paradise.
All right, Fantasy Football League. Yours truly still in the top spot. Catbird seed at 10-1. CB, I believe you won this week, or you lost. Maddie won.
Lost very bad.
All right, so here's the drama. You are 5-6, currently holding down the final playoff spot. Maddie is also 5-6. He is 9th, right behind you. You guys are separated by 17 points the entire season. And here's the better part. They play each other this week. So how's your matchup looking against
He has
Maddie?
a lot of bye week issues this week, so it actually kind of favors me. But with the way my team's performed in recent weeks, I wouldn't feel comfortable about it.
Is the loser out? Is this an elimination game?
No, just because I think that's how this league is. I mean, it's pretty much designed for you to go either just above 500 or just below 500.
Or 10-1.
Or that too. Yeah. You're right. But it's likely you're going to face one of us in that first round.
Yeah, when we took out the buys for the top 2 seeds, that was an absolute flaw in the system. But we are paying the regular season champ. So that's something to fight for. All right, Rhino. Here's the guy that I'm struggling with on whether I start every week now. And that's Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Oh, so close.
And I got to tell you, he is now not only taking over for Lockett as the number 2, he's pushing DK now. He's a top 20 receiver the rest of the way. I feel like I may have to start him. Do I dare start him over a Zay Flowers? Flowers is so hit and miss, and he did score last week in that game against Baltimore. But up until then, I was like, I couldn't believe that I had done that to myself again. But I do think Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, Zay faces a pretty tough Chargers defense this week. I think you might want to think about that.
Who does Seattle play?
I think it's Arizona.
Yeah, I think you're right. That may be a decent spot for me. So that's who I have right now, and I love that I have him. It's just hard for me to put him in the lineup, but I think it's finally time because if he has a top 2 role in Seattle and Geno's going to throw it, and if he's pushing DK now for the top spot, I think it's just another 100-yard game for him.
Would he be pushing DK, though, if DK hadn't been having the injury issues? I'm not sure, but this is kind of what we all envisioned when they drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba, right? Is he was eventually going to take over for Lockett, and if Lockett was still there, Lockett would end up being the number 3 receiver. We were talking earlier before the show how I had a pretty good week, and I would have had a better week if I put T. Higgins in instead of George Pickens into my starting lineup. I had Jackson Smith-Njigba sitting on my bench, too, in that league as well.
He had 10 catches for 110 yards, didn't get in the end zone. But the week before in the overtime game against the Rams, 7 catches for 180 yards and 2 scores. His targets the last 3 weeks are 7, 13, and 11. It's just a matter of getting him into the end zone, which tends to be a little bit of a crapshoot. But I really like JSN now moving forward and not just a streamer receiver every week. I was going to mention to you also, by the way, why didn't you start T in this game?
I went with, I just left Devontae Adams in, which maybe I should have took him out, and I just decided to go with George Pickens because he's the number 1 option on that Pittsburgh team, and I thought that they would need the points. Obviously, they just need field goals to win the game against the Ravens. So T coming off an injury, I just thought I would leave him on the bench, and of course, he had a monstrous game.
So I've been stacking defenses for the playoffs because I was afraid to run out Pittsburgh against at Philly, at Baltimore, and potentially at home against Kansas City in a championship. That's Pittsburgh's playoff schedule in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Seen what they did to Baltimore, and I'll watch what they do, obviously, against Cleveland on Thursday, and then they're at Cincinnati, and then Cleveland again at home. I'm starting to think that may come back and haunt me if I bench them. I've heard a lot of theories on when you get to the playoffs and you're just simply glued to matchups and that's it. It's almost worse than just riding with those that got you there. Here's your best lineup for Week 11. If you fielded the best lineup ever. Quarterback, it was Goff. Receiver, it was Amon-Ra. So 2 Lions this week in fantasy. Cooper Kupp.
Big game.
At the other receiver, the running backs were Mixon and Barkley. Tight end, of course, Taysom Hill.
Jeez.
Flexing Breece Hall. I didn't know he had that big of a game. Obviously, if you play kickers, we don't. Boswell was the big one. And then the Texans' defense last night was the highest scoring D. So that's where we are in fantasy. I'm looking forward to seeing CB and Maddie's matchup this week. Because Maddie stamped at curtains for his team a couple weeks ago.
It might be first team or only team to reach 70 points might win that.
Here's all right, we'll go round table real fast. Your biggest worry in fantasy right now for your own team?
It's whenever Pacheco comes back, because I really don't want to start Nick Chubb against the Steelers. And I know they opened his practice window, but
Ford's
it's got to be
combo platter.
It's got to be either this week, I believe, or next week. So to really be competitive in the playoff race, I really need that 3-headed monster of, in my case, James Cook, Gibbs, and then Pacheco.
Biggest worry.
Mine is tight end. I went late on tight end, so I had Dallas Goedert. I ended up dropping him when he went on a bye and picked up Isaiah Likely. I did all of this knowing I had TJ Hawkinson stored away on my bench, but it hasn't really clicked for him yet in this Minnesota offense.
I have a semi-worry with Jaden Daniels. Feel like that rookie wall is real. However, they do get Dallas. So we'll give him a chance.
That's just the quarterback position in general. Yeah. I mean, with C.J. Stroud, they're winning games, but he's not doing well.
He did not have a touchdown pass last night.
I've got Jared Goff as my quarterback, and he was great last week, but there's been a lot of games where he hasn't been great fantasy-wise.
The one guy you don't have to worry about, CB, is Joe Burrow right now. You got him, you're lighting it up. We come back, SportsCenter update here, top of the hour, and there is a betting narrative going around for this one, the huge one at the Shoe. We'll tell you about it next. Rothman and Ice and the Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things, like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience store for metal.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. I love this time of the year, the food, the family, the football, and I want to spend it with my loved ones. I don't want to spend all day in the kitchen. So Bob Evans, they got a solution for you. It's the Thanksgiving celebration, their farmhouse feast. They've got unbelievable options. I love the slow roasted turkey for 6 hours, but you could go with ham as well. They've got unbelievable handcrafted sides. My kids love the homemade celery and dressing. The mashed potatoes with gravy, they're always a winner. They've got tons of them that serves 8 to 10 people, folks. So go check it out at bobevans.com.
Gambling too much? I'm Abdullah Mahmood, problem gambling counselor at Mary Haven, where we offer in-person, virtual, and group options. We're here for you no matter what, and that's a bet you can actually count on this football season. Go to maryhaven.com today.
Bob and Teresa Capace here. The holidays are the perfect time for your yes moment. Find the ring that captures your love at family-owned Worthington Jewelers. With over 1,500 styles and friendly expert guidance, you'll find the one.
Worthington Jewelers, where Columbus gets engaged.
Busy schedule? This is Ryan Krieger, and Krieger Ford has you covered. Krieger Ford offers pickup and delivery, or our mobile service van will come right to you. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Schedule your appointment today only at KriegerFord.com.
Common Man and T-Bone here for Hollywood Casino Columbus. Hey, Bone, did you know the sportsbook is now called ESPN Bet?
I did, and you can watch your favorite teams on the biggest screens, place your bets, and grab some wings with an ice-cold pint.
Maybe you're too boring and don't want to go to the casino. Good news. You can keep the action going and place your bets on the go with the ESPN Bet app.
The ESPN Bet Sportsbook is your 50-yard line ticket to odds, point spreads, and over-unders.
It's the place to be. Losers must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
I don't know what I want to do. I'm just not sure that college is right for me.
Have you considered a career in dental assisting? I love my job as a dental assistant. I have flexible work hours, the money is good, and I get to work in a professional, people-oriented dental office. What I really love about my job is knowing that I give people a healthy smile.
For more information about becoming a dental assistant, contact your high school guidance counselor. Or if you are no longer in school, talk to a dentist in your community or visit ODA.org. This message is brought to you by the members of the Ohio Dental Association.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Baker. For the third time this season, number 2 Ohio State getting ready for a top 5 matchup, taking on number 5 Indiana this Saturday at noon inside the Shoe. At his weekly press conference, Ryan Day said they need the fans to show up and make it a great atmosphere. He also said that tight end Will Kazmarek will practice this week and could possibly play this weekend. We'll find out where Ohio State is in the latest CFP rankings when they drop at 7. Let's talk a little basketball. The Buckeyes look to rebound from their first loss of the season tonight when they host Evansville at 7. Of course, you can hear that right here on The Fan, beginning with Timmy Hall and The Fan warm-up show at 6. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they're 15-0. They look to make it 16-0 tonight when they head to Boston to take on the defending NBA champion Celtics at 7. This one's sponsored by Dormar Heating and Air Conditioning. Need an emergency repair? Dormar can be there today, guaranteed. Visit DORMARheating.com.
Listening to Rothman and Ice, the number 1 rated midday show in Columbus.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus, the number 1 rated windows and doors in Columbus.
I don't think that was on YouTube.
It was. I could see it all.
I tried to pull a Brian Fantana on Ryan Baker. If you guys know what that reference is, that's from The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Anchorman. And so Scotty Vegas was playing the role of Champ Kind, whammy, and I was over here trying to Fontana you into a big mistake. And like a professional, and by the way, you've gotten so much better. I just want you to know that.
Working hard. I've been working hard.
Yeah, that you just handled it perfectly.
Appreciate that.
That was a good update.
I could see it all out of the peripherals.
We were trying to heckle him.
I really was, because I will tell you, he does these updates on Sunday mornings during On the Money, and a lot of times the music will play for 20 seconds before he starts talking on that one. So he was really lackadaisical on Sunday mornings.
Music.
Because we're still asleep on Sunday mornings when we start out.
You're asleep. I'm always awake.
He likes some walk-up music for his update. He likes to let it play a little bit, and then he saunters in.
Announce my presence.
With authority.
Yeah.
We'll do some projecting the CFP. Scotty Vegas is with us as well, so it's good to see you, my man. The narrative on this game is going in a weird direction. It was 9.5, I think, on a look ahead, and then it jumped to 10.5, 11.5. I saw it at 12.5. And guess what? Now Ohio State's favored by 13 in most places.
Yeah, it's wild. It is wild movement. But, guys, I was looking at my preseason magazine earlier today. And
were you on the toilet?
I was not on the toilet. I was working hard in my office there, obviously reading my newspaper and my magazine. But here's the deal. Indiana preseason was projected 17th in the Big Ten. 17 out of 18 teams, and now they are number 5 in the country. And you guys are looking at this spread and saying, wow, you got a top 5 team coming to Columbus, and Indiana is a 13.5 point dog, and that number keeps jumping up and up and up. And quite frankly, it's because nobody really knows enough about this Indiana team yet. And I know that they've blown out teams, but this is a team that had 18 yards of total offense against Michigan in the second half in their one big quality game, right, that they've played so far. And is Michigan any good? Not really. Their non-conference games, Indiana played 3-7 Charlotte, played 3-7 Florida International, and played 3-8 Western Illinois. Their best win, Anthony and Ryan, is over a 6-5 Washington team. So you look at the
with
resumes,
a backup quarterback,
and with a backup quarterback, and oh, by the way, if Indiana and Georgia
had a backup, is my point,
right? And if Indiana and Georgia were playing on a neutral field, Georgia would be a 9-point favorite over Indiana.
So I play that game a lot on the show, which is what the spread would be in certain games. It's very difficult tightrope to walk with respecting Indiana for what they've done, based on historics and everything else, Cignetti effect, the quarterback. I do think they have real players. I do. I think they have a team that's playing together with attitude. I think that's a lot of it. I do. I think that somehow when you catch lightning in a bottle, you feel like maybe you are a little more than what people think of you. And so Indiana is still out to prove that they deserve to be there. So they have a lot of motivation outside of the normal, obvious motivation, which is just keep winning to get in the playoff and have a shot at, who knows, pulling one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen. You go back to the preseason, though, and you're right. They're the best story going. But for every Indiana, there's a Florida State or a Mizzou or a Utah or teams that are over LSU. They're teams that have been overrated in the preseason that haven't lived up to it.
And that's my issue when we talked about all this with Ohio State's, this is a big game. They're 10-0. There's no way Ohio State's looking past them. I hope that's true. But the players are the players, and they're still just Indiana's never been anything. They haven't. That's the thing that worries me about this is could some of these players still be looking past this Indiana team and saying, hey, we owe a lot to the Maize and Blue. So their receipts are coming. And could they be looking? It makes me very nervous.
See, I think you would be more nervous for Ohio State if Indiana had one loss coming into this, because then I think the nerves would come from now they have nothing. The 10-0 is so key in getting Ohio State's attention, even though they haven't beaten anybody ranked. But let's say they had one hiccup this year and they lost to Maryland at home and they were 9-1. That would be the scary part to me, is that you really would be overlooking. The key to this whole thing for Ohio State is that Indiana has a 5 in front of their name, and that should get their attention. I can't tell you from player to player whether they're overlooking them or not. They shouldn't be. I think they know they've struggled here against Nebraska. They trailed in the fourth quarter, having 2 weeks to prepare for that game. So if anything, Ryan Day should live up to what he's saying, which is we only worry about ourselves. But they do have something to worry about. Any team that can score points has a puncher's chance. And I've been really down on Indiana having any chance in this game for months. And I'm walking that back a little bit. I have I say this all the time, and Scotty knows I say this. It's a lot of points until it isn't. It always sounds like a lot before kickoff. But in my mind, if Ohio State wins this game, the score that pops in my mind is 31-17. Well, guess what? That's a cover.
That's a cover. Don't walk back that confidence. I really believe that Ohio
it's not my confidence. It's not my confidence for Ohio State. Mm-hmm. It's my lack of confidence in Indiana that I'm walking back.
And again, like the history, just Ohio State has beaten Indiana 28 straight times, right? And it's just hard for us to get behind the fact that Indiana can come to Columbus. I don't care that they're number 5 in the country. Just the fact that it's Indiana coming to Columbus and pulling off this upset, you just can't believe it. Like, I want to ask you guys, what percentage chance do you give Indiana to come to Columbus and win this game on Saturday? Because to be honest with you, for me, I would be absolutely shocked. I would actually be surprised if Ohio State doesn't win this game by double digits. I would be very willing to give the 13.5. I think Ohio State's going to win this game by more than 14. For me, a percentage chance that Indiana wins this thing, I would put it at 10%.
Okay, so that would be lower than the implied probability.
Yes.
So the implied probability of this game is, I think Indiana's plus 385 on the money line. So I think that's about a 20% chance of winning the football game.
Yeah.
I think from Ryan's standpoint, your percentage would probably be a lot higher than that. For Indiana.
So the first thing that popped into my head was I would give Indiana a 35% chance. And when you look at ESPN and their matchup prediction, they give Indiana a 26.7% chance of winning this game.
All right, so a little better than Vegas. Not Scotty, the real Vegas.
Yeah.
It's a little better than that. So
what percentage are you, Anthony, that Indiana can come in here to Columbus and win this game?
I was at 10% 2 months ago. I'm probably at 25%.
Wow, that's higher than I would have thought.
You're close to ESPN.
I want to be. Here's why, and I'm surprised that you're saying this. You saw the Nebraska game.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just pinning that on that Ohio State overlooked them, or is Ohio State the reason why my confidence is high in Ohio State at 75 or maybe even a little higher? We'll see. Is that they seem to get up for these types of games. They got up for Penn State, and they have played down to teams when, like to Ryan's point, it's human nature. So that's why I keep coming back to Indiana being undefeated, even if they haven't beaten anybody, is the greatest thing that should have happened to Ohio State. But I just can't get over the fact that Ohio State's been in some games that I didn't think they'd be in as far as they should be trouncing teams.
And let's give Ryan Day a ton of credit because Ryan Day, as a double-digit favorite, he wins these games. He just, in his history, he wins these games. The only exception is, as a double-digit favorite, they lost outright to Oregon. That was one game. Yeah. But other than that, they don't lose these type of games where you're a double-digit favorite. And so the history, gosh, everything in history points to Ohio State winning this game, and I think winning this game relatively big.
Well, the other part is, and Rhino and I talked about this, Scotty, is that Indiana psychology is not their history. They don't have a guy that's the head coach who's been there for 10 years and finally got something right. Like, it's Cignetti. He doesn't care. He doesn't even think about the fact that they haven't beaten Ohio State since 1988.
And this is why when we talked earlier, I think it was Dave Biddle that asked the question to Ryan Day about taking the ball first. What's this? I don't think it's a terrible idea this week. I'm usually in the minority with that. I'm usually say you defer, take the ball to start the second half. But you've got, to me, you need to have a killer instinct. And that's one thing that's not always been the case with Ryan Day teams at the beginning of the game. They typically get off to slow starts. But if you can take that ball and take it right down the field, jam it down their throats, put points on the board and tell them, listen, you're not the fifth best team in the country. You don't deserve to be here, and make those players believe that, I think that could be huge.
Well, then I guess the tough question at the press conference for you, Ryan Baker, is what percentage chance do you give Ohio State of winning the coin toss?
I think it's 50%, right?
Well, okay. So because
I think that's integral in your theory.
It's funny because and I bring this up on the Tailgate show with you all the time, just about every week, because from a betting perspective, this number is absolutely ridiculous. Because Ohio State this year has outscored opponents 121-9 in the third quarter. They have been so good after halftime of coming out and just dominating the third quarter. 121-9.
Not one touchdown all year.
Not a single touchdown. They've been ridiculously good. And I feel like maybe I've been a little disrespectful to Indiana this segment. And look, it's a history, and that's why. But I have bet Indiana and made a lot of money betting Indiana against the spread this year. I was standing with you back when when Indiana played UCLA, and Indiana dominated UCLA, and we looked at the line of Indiana to make the college football playoff. And at that point, Indiana was 42-1 to make the playoff. Incredible. And we didn't take it, but we were looking at the line. No. Now the line is for Indiana to miss the college football playoff is 3-1. And I'm telling you, if Indiana doesn't play this game really, really close and really tight, I think there's a good chance they're going to miss the playoff if they don't play it really tight.
Oh, they can't. I told Rhino before the last 4 or 5 games with them, 51-10, 54-7, 56-14. You get one of those, then what leg do they have to stand on?
None.
But when we come back, I'll tell you the hypocrisy that I mentioned on the show yesterday, which could be actually in their favor. And the committee being hypocritical on this could actually work for them. That's next. Rothman and Ice in the Fan.
There's nothing Bo Bishop can't do well, except find competent co-hosts. Bishop and Friends.
Weekdays from 9 to noon.
The Fan.
Men, It's the holidays, the season of all kinds of hustle and bustle. But if your energy is down, if you aren't sleeping well, if your sex drive is MIA, and you just don't feel like the guy you once were, maybe it's tough to get excited for all the holiday cheer. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if this sounds like you may have low testosterone. And if so, this is the season for you to get treated. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're experts in treating low T. If you're like most guys, you'll feel the change in just a few weeks. And truly, the results can be life-changing. You'll have improved mental clarity, your energy will kick up, your workouts will be better, your sleep patterns will improve, and your sex drive will likely heat up as well. So call us, and don't go through another season with low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654. That's 800-900-9654, or go to tristatemenshealth.com. That's tristatemenshealth.com.
Toyota Thon is on. The perfect time to shop for a new SUV with more all-wheel drive choices than anyone else, like the family-size Highlander and the bigger, more powerful Grand Highlander. Now through December 2nd, get any new Highlander or Grand Highlander with 5.99 APR financing up to 72 months, including hybrid models with $1,657 per thousand borrowed, subject to approved credit through TFS. For complete details, go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
APCO Windows, Siding, and Decks is a family company my dad started in 1962. We don't rely on sales gimmicks, so get multiple estimates. Just make sure one of them is from APCO.
Absolutely, absolutely, you can trust APCO.
APCO.com.
Diamond Cellar is bringing the world's finest jewelry to you at our annual holiday gala December 5th through December 7th. Celebrate the season of sparkle with up to 25% off for 1 weekend only at our Selma Road location. Visit diamondcellar.com/gala to learn more.
Dick from Dayton says, listen to The Ryan Day Show. Paul Keels and Jim Lachey join Coach every Thursday from noon to 1.
Presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan.
You're a man with a plan.
I know.
You'll propose to her on that family trip in front of everyone. Brilliant.
I know.
You know the trip is only a month away.
But I don't have a ring.
Luckily, there's GageDiamonds.com with engagement rings in every style for every budget with certified natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, and moissanite.
Can I finance it?
Gage lets you buy the ring today and pay for it over time with our no credit needed financing.
Brilliant.
Yes, we are. GageDiamonds.com. We're engagements. Middle name.
Exclusions apply.
Are you ready to unleash the beast? Monster Energy is here to give you the edge this college tailgate season. Loaded with bold flavors, our powerful blend gives you the energy you need to push you beyond your limits. Tune in all season long with Monster, the energy drink of ESPN Radio College Football Tour. Power your performance with a drink that's as hungry for victory as you are. Crack open an ice-cold Monster and dominate your competition. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Grab yours today.
November is an ideal month to plant trees in Ohio because the soil is still warm, which reduces the transplant stress. Plus, trees require less water in November than in the heat of the summer, allowing roots to grow in the cooler temperatures. When planting trees, keep these tips in mind. Select trees that are zone hardy for where you plan to plant. Avoid planting trees that produce slip hazards like fruits and nuts close to sidewalks. And don't plant large trees near or under utility lines. To learn more about the November tree planting, contact an ISA-certified arborist near you by going to trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Time now to get a look at that weather report. Today, cloudy and mild, high 64. Afternoon rain on your Wednesday, high 58. We do have rain and snow mixed together in the forecast on Thursday. We're going to be looking at about a ½ inch to an inch of snow that will accumulate on the grass. I'm not expecting anything to stick to the roads. It'll be very, very windy on Thursday, which will make it feel like it's in the upper 20s to lower 30s. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
Bet365 is the exclusive online sportsbook of Rothman and Ice. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
True to his name, Matty Ice wears a winter coat in the middle of summer. He lives the gimmick, man. You're listening to Rothman and Ice.
All right, it's Rothman and Friends today. Scotty Vegas down from the upstairs. The second best Ryan we've had on the show today, Ryan Baker. And we're discussing the college football playoff and everything about it. Ryan is actually in the minority on the show in that he hates the college football playoff. Or the 12 expansion.
The dumbest take I've ever heard.
Scotty and I, go ahead.
What did I tell you guys?
Explain yourself.
At the beginning of the year, who were the teams we thought could win the national championship? It was Oregon, it was Ohio State, it was Georgia, it was Texas, and maybe some people like myself would throw Alabama in there.
Yeah, well,
but those are the five we thought had a realistic chance. Right now, who are the five that we think have a realistic chance to win the national championship? Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you want to include Georgia and Bama right now, but yeah, you're right.
I include Bama because of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
First off, this 12-team playoff is going to make December absolutely crazy good as a sports fan. The fact that we are now going to have relevant conference championship games, because those conference championship games in the past, 90% of them were completely worthless. Now they're going to be really exciting. Even watching Boise State playing in a conference championship game means something. And the Big 12 championship game means something because it's in or out. And then you're talking about mid-December, December 19th and 20th, we're going to get together and we're going to watch 4 quality playoff games. Instead of watching like the crappy Las Vegas Bowl or these absolutely worthless bowl games. And then, oh, by the way, now New Year's Day becomes amazing because we got a quarterfinal matchup. We got 3 quarterfinal games. It's just going to be so much better. Instead of like an entire month of, oh, is this guy going to sit out the bowl game or what's going to happen with this team? Now we have excitement, Ryan.
What's the difference between Ole Miss, Indiana in a playoff or in the Citrus Bowl? There is none because none of us.
The winner advances.
None of us believe either of them are winning the national championship.
All right, so yes, you've kind of changed the conversation there on whether a team from 5 through 12 can actually win it all. Well, we know they can because Ohio State or Oregon is probably going to be a 5. So we know that one of those, but I understand what you're saying is, will we ever have Cinderella in college football?
I don't want Cinderella, though. It's just like
you may not get it, but what he's saying is these games will actually matter. Those bowl games don't matter.
I get it. In March Madness, we love it when Cinderella makes a run, but we don't want Cinderella in the Final Four.
Well, here's the deal. I think that my big worry when we went to expansion was that these, quote, elimination rivalry games were watered down because the loser can still get in. And I admit that still exists. It does. But what we have now, and I think to Scott's point, and I like it too, is that once you get 2 losses, your story isn't over. And I just feel like if you tell me that a playoff without Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, like those teams have a real chance to beat anybody on any given day.
Not only that, but you saw a team like Notre Dame who lost to Northern Illinois so early. If this is a 4-team playoff, Notre Dame's season was over in September, right? It's completely irrelevant at that point because there's no way they'd be able to win enough to get into the top 4. And then, it made Georgia, Tennessee last Saturday night a fantastically huge football game.
Correct.
Which it wouldn't have been huge. It would have been huge in the 4-team.
No, it wouldn't have been because Georgia
already has 2 losses. They wouldn't have been in.
Yeah, I don't know.
They would have been playing spoiler for Tennessee.
Everybody made the argument that it would ruin the college football regular season. And guys, it's actually done the opposite. It's made it even better.
In pockets, it has. It has. But, generally speaking, aren't you happy now that Ohio State, Oregon wasn't, quote, a game that might have sent Ohio State into the outside looking in an old 4-team format?
But it wouldn't have, right?
They beat Penn State.
If they won out, it wouldn't have.
But what if Ohio State would have lost that game to Penn State, which they very easily could have lost?
Then they're out. They don't deserve it.
They don't deserve to be a top 12 team?
They don't deserve to be in the hunt for a national championship to me if they lose that Penn State game.
That'd be like saying
It's just my opinion. It's just my thought.
And it's wrong.
And we can say the NFL, but it's different, and I know we're heading that way.
We're not sending you into solitary confinement for it. We're not going to do 24 hours in the hole. What we're trying to tell you is that that's like saying that any of these NFL teams that get in as a wild card don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and they have no chance of winning. Now, maybe there's more parity in the NFL, but we've seen – this is the big argument we have with the NFL, which is that you're going to have a team – win a division at 9-8 and get a bye and a home playoff game. They probably don't deserve it, but this is how it is. I feel like these teams are coming from the 5 through 12 pool have a chance. You may be right.
And you
that
talked
Indiana
about it earlier. Like, we're losing all of our traditions in sports, and college football was always different than the NFL, and I like that. And it's heading to where it's not going to be different at all, really, except there's more teams.
It's just going to make December so much better. December and January is going to be so spectacular, whereas college football kind of generally has been ending on a dud. It really has. We've had so many bad semifinal games, and now we're going to have 4 straight weeks of really intense. It's like March Madness, only it's going to be even better because it's college football.
And I don't know if that's great. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, and we're going to have to see. And maybe when we get in it, it'll change my mind. I don't know. But Indiana against Ole Miss in the college football playoff.
That's not exciting.
It's not different to me than those two playing in the Citrus Bowl.
Me too. I want to see it too. Yeah. With a bunch of guys who aren't even going to be playing. Like, the bowl system was so dead because it was
in the NIL era. I worry about teams that are seeded 12 having an opt-out. We're not even confirmed yet. We wouldn't have one. We're not.
Yeah. And it's coming. It'll happen eventually.
May not be a quarterback, but who knows? Maybe some guy was injured. He's healthy now. Do I really want to try to win 4 straight games and blow my NFL status, risk injury?
Now, where this does get interesting is the conference championship games, because
there's a flaw in some of this.
There is. There's 2 flaws.
I know what you're going to say.
One, the conference championship games, and if you have 2 losses and you're an SEC team and you've got to go play in the SEC championship game and you lose that game and you have 3 losses and then you're passed by other SEC teams who have 2 losses, that's a major flaw. And then the other major flaw, and this is why the format is all screwy, is the fact that a Boise State, and I like Boise State, but they could end up being the 4 seed in this thing and have a bye. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Their best win is a loss.
Yeah, Ohio State.
They played Oregon tough, and that's where they are.
Ohio State or Oregon. One of them is going to lose the Big Ten championship game. And whoever loses that game is probably still the 2nd or 3rd best team in the country, yet they are going to end up as a 5 seed.
5 or 6.
Well, Scotty's right that you can't have a team ranked 2nd in the country by the committee and then having to play as a 5 seed. I think the automatic gifts were wrong. That's a flaw. We'll see how it plays out. The quick hypocrisy, real fast, I want to tell you guys about Indiana. The committee is telling you that they're the 5th best team in the country, right? That's where they had them this week, number 5 at 10-0. They haven't beaten anybody. So if they get cracked by Ohio State, you can't just send them packing out of it, because you just told us that those 10 wins actually count for something. So you're going to say that the one time they line up against the number 2 team in the country and don't compete, that all of a sudden that's the be-all, end-all? It would be hypocritical.
And your best win is against the same team whose Texas best win is against, and your loss would be a better loss than...
So Indiana's 10 wins actually, according to the committee, have insulated them even against a semi-blowout.
What's Georgia ranked in the rankings right there?
12.
Again, so the 12th team... Georgia,
well, they'll be up tonight.
On a neutral game, a neutral field against Indiana would be a 9-point favorite.
BYU, Boise, Indiana, any of those playing the SEC schedule would have 3 losses.
Absolutely.
Just the way,
Yeah.
And I'm usually for the underdog. But
me too.
It's I want to see this play out first. Scotty, well done.
Thanks.
We'll be talking later in the week. All right, we'll come back with Tyvis Powell. We'll break down the Browns. Rhino, will he tell us to throw out the records this week?
Oh, boy.
We'll find out. Rothman and Ice on the Fan.
If you smell the tears of sad Michigan fans, it only means one thing. Rivalry Week is coming.
Sponsored by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
The Fan.
Common Man here for Care Heating and Cooling. Weather is unpredictable, but the inside of your home should be comfortable just the way you like it. And the best way to avoid those unnecessary surprises is with a care plan. See, with a care plan, you get priority service, system maintenance in case of an emergency. Just another way to give you and your family peace of mind. And maintaining your systems properly can help save you money. A properly maintained furnace and air conditioner run more efficiently, reducing your utility usage. Regular maintenance also prevents breakdowns and extends the life of your equipment. I'm on the care plan, and I'm quite the expert. I'll stop by and give your system a once-over. I will. Don't tempt me. I end every commercial the same way, telling you to hire Care when you need a company you can trust. It's not just a slogan. That's the Care creed. How about this? Lennox. They have thousands of dealers nationwide. HVAC royalty. Last year, Lennox gave Care their coveted Partner of the Year award because they're trusted by their customers and their partners. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING or book an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com when you need a company you can trust.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
A.J. Hawk won a national title, a Super Bowl, and a Lombardi Award, but his weekly appearance on Morning Juice, Fridays at 8:33, is the real highlight of his career. If he tells you otherwise, he's lying.
Sponsored by FanDuel.
The Fan.
If you're struggling with ED or your performance is down and your belly fat is growing, listen up. You've got one life. Now is the time to act.
At the Columbus Men's Clinic, we're not just healthcare, we're your secret weapon. Don't wait another day. Here's why you need to act right now.
Every moment you delay, your condition could worsen. It's not just about sex, it's about your heart, your relationship, your life.
The Columbus Men's Clinic has over 10 years of proven results for low testosterone and increasing drive, energy level, and performance. We've introduced ED and enhancement treatments so exclusive, you'll wonder why you waited.
Procrastination is the thief of time. When it comes to your sexual health, you can't afford to wait. Join the League of Gentlemen who walked out of our doors with a swagger.
Call the Columbus Men's Clinic at 614-300-7400 or visit columbusmensclinic.com. Book your $99 male performance consultation now, including blood work. Call 614-300-7400 or visit columbusmensclinic.com. The Columbus Men's Clinic, making it happen.
FX's Grotesquerie.
This killer is someone who knows anatomy.
From executive producer Ryan Murphy.
Detective, you have an entire family murdered.
Niecy Nash Betts.
The monster is out here.
Courtney B. Vance.
God knows what darkness we let in.
And Travis Kelsey.
There's no future after this.
FX's Grotesquerie. All new Wednesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play. Like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty interior paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tinted to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
Rothman and Ice is sponsored by your local Pella Window and Door showroom on Gemini Parkway. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Rothman and Ice present breaking down the Browns with Tyvis Powell.
Sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
We like him to feel right at home, so when we're casually late, that fits in right into his fashionable schedule. He is the baller from Bedford. He's our friend Tyvis Powell. How you feeling, my man?
Oh, doing my usual, enjoying the night.
Uh-oh. A nice rainstorm?
But, good time.
Okay. Well, you cut out a little bit on us there, but I'm glad to have you. Why don't we actually start with Ohio State? What's your nerves meter, competitive meter? We discussed for the first hour of the show whether Indiana has Ohio State's full attention. We've had some struggles here in getting up for games, but this one shouldn't be a problem. But give me your take on whether this is as real of a heavyweight matchup as it's being pitched as.
Well, listen, Indiana has done a wonderful job this season of doing a lot of things. They were top 10 in scoring defense. They run the ball well. They pass the ball well. So they got all the intangibles they need to be able to pull an upset against Ohio State, So that's there. You have to give them the respect that they deserve. Even before Curt Cignetti took over that team, they had times where they had the Buckeyes against the ropes, and yet we found a way to win. So you always got to be on high alert, against Indiana. Now that they have Curt Cignetti and he's breathing that confidence into them, they're going to be ready to play this game. So make no mistake about it. They've handled business. The Buckeyes definitely are not overlooking this game. I do think that the trench play is the one where that's going to be the big defining moment. I think the team up north, kind of showed you if you got some good defensive linemen, you can make things happen. So that was what I'm going to be looking at this Saturday at the Sheep.
Tyvis, you say that, but when you were a player and Indiana came into town, whether they had a number 5 by their name or not, or were 10-0 or not, there's still something about you, right? That like Indiana can't hang with us. They play basketball at IU. They can't come in here and beat us, right?
Baloney. That's baloney right there.
Okay.
It took, let's see, the 3 times that I played them, they had Kevin Coleman, the fastest man in America, that just completely burnt me on an angle. So, yeah, he had my respect there. The year after that, I think they tried to throw like a Hail Mary at the end of the game to win, and it took Zeke to run the thing. Like he had to hit a 50-yarder, 60-yarder, 70-yarder for us to win that game. And then my last time playing it took the heroics of Jalen Marshall, which I did have a pick in that game, by the way. Go Tyvis. It took a lot of heroics from Jalen Marshall to go out there and win that game. So I don't take Indiana lightly. Everybody has that team in the Big Ten that they maybe give more respect to than other people do. Indiana is that for me.
What, by the way, that year that you talked about Zeke, what year are we talking about there?
What, the Zeke run?
I'm just remembering.
That's 20.
Yeah, the one against Indiana, you said.
2014? I think it was 2014,
okay,
right?
Okay.
2013 was the Tevin Coleman burning me up the sideline. 2014 was the Zeke's doing the 50, 60, 70, or it might have been 40, 50, 60, whatever the heck it was. And then 2015 is the Jalen Marshall game.
All right. Yeah, listen, I know you guys played some close games against them, so you have a different psychology with this. I'm with you. I saw that Michigan bowed up against them, but what I did not like, and it's a 4-quarter game, I thought Ohio State I thought their defensive line got mauled in the first quarter against Nebraska. Part of it was scheme. Part of it was Lausch looking really good as a quarterback against Northwestern. He was running on them. But I'm telling you, I saw some push that Northwestern was getting against this defensive line in the first quarter, and I didn't like it.
Well, if that's the case, then we are in for a good game on Saturday now, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, eventually, obviously, teams like Northwestern shoot themselves in the foot, which they did with the snap over the head. And Indiana's been pretty good at taking the ball away this year. Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I'm the wrong guy to ask. I've watched this movie for 30-plus years where Indiana, but what I have seen is Indiana be competitive in these games. And I'll ask you this way. In this era that we're all starting to kind of understand, these guys that play for Indiana don't have the decades and the history built up, and neither does the coach. So how much does that affect this game? And that those guys just look at it as a big game. They're not looking at it as righting the wrongs of 35 years, right?
No. I think that they're looking at it like, listen, we're proving to people, because this game is as big to them as it is to us. You know, first of all, this game is a deciding factor of really who goes to the Big Ten championship. They both teams kind of decide their own fate. Whoever wins is probably going to the Big Ten championship. So you got that on the line, and that's something that Indiana hasn't done ever, probably. So with that being said, you got to keep this magical season going. And right now, if you're an Indiana player, you hear the disrespect that you get. Everybody say, well, you ain't played nobody. What's your big win? What's your big win? You go beat the Buckeyes at the shoe? That's as big as it gets. So for them, they're looking for their future as well on this. So they're going to play as hard as they absolutely can to earn the respect from the rest of the country.
All right, Tyvis, I don't want to do it, but I guess we have to because the segment is breaking down the Browns. And they get another chance this Thursday to get embarrassed on national television in the spotlight. Was that game against the Saints last week, Tyvis, was that the Browns' last big-time real chance for a win this season?
You know, this is the thing about the Browns. You know, the Browns, they will lose games that they got no business losing to some crappy teams. We've seen it all year. But then they'll beat a team that they got absolutely no business beating. We've seen that with Baltimore. So I'm hoping, you know, with this being a rivalry game, that they come out and pull some magic. It's going to be tough. It's an uphill battle. The left tackle situation is scary. The last time we went in the game with a tackle situation, T.J. Watt had a field day on Baker Mayfield. Now, we think about now, they just got Preston Smith. They already got T.J. Watt. They already had Alex Hightower. They already had Cam Hayward. You mix all those guys up, it's a scary situation. But what I'm interested to see is how this team fights against the rivalry game. Because, you know, the Pittsburgh and Browns rivalry, I know it's been one-sided for a long time, but rivalries, I've been in some of them, you can take those records and throw them out the window. So I'm interested to see if they come out with no fight in this game, then it tells me that their mind is, we already checked out to next year. But I just don't think that could be the case. It's Thursday night games, nationally televised. It's in Cleveland. You haven't really given them a lot to cheer for. But if you beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the same year, I mean, listen, you can lose the rest of them, but they're going to hang their hat on the fact that they beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So I think that's something to look forward to.
What Ryan doesn't want to admit is that the Browns have won 8 straight Thursday night games at home. And he should probably bet into that trend. Let me ask you this. You brought me to something I wanted to ask you. If they don't show up or they check out, how much falls on Stefanski there?
A lot. I mean, you hear all the hot seat conversations. I mean, I just listened to Mary Cage. They asked him about, has he heard that chatter, and he claims he's tuning it out right now. They said, yeah, I understand. In the city of Cleveland, they'll love you when you're up and they'll kick you when you're down. That's just how it is, you know, and rightfully so. He's deserving of it right now, but I don't think he should be fired or anything like that. I just think he's having a bad season, and he's got to find a way to get the team back on the same page, because what we see this year is not the same Browns team we saw last year, just from an attitude and effort standpoint. That you look right at the head coach, because that's his responsibility to make them be on that same page.
But you do think that Haslam is going to charge him with these final games? Like, this has meaning for him. Can he win him back over if he's lost him by showing up here in these last several games, even though he's 2-8? Or is the handwriting on the wall?
I think he's safe. I think Kevin is safe this year. For some odd reason, as much as people don't want to believe that, for some odd reason, in my gut, I just think he's safe.
Yep. All right, my man. Good stuff. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Be safe.
I'll see y'all later. Go Bucks, go Browns, and go Cavs. Another victory. 16-0. Here we go.
Let's go.
The Celtics just heard him. All right. He's Tyvis Powell. He's on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Gets Hotline. We get back to the Buckeye Bulletin and Ryan Day on what he expects from the Hoosiers. Rothman and Ice in the Fan.
The Big Nine was a sad, incomplete place. Enter Ohio State. The rest is history. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
Reichert Chevy's dealing in Dublin.
$2,500 low price guarantee.
With our lowest prices and 72-hour exchange policy, you can't buy the wrong car. Shop hundreds of vehicles at ReichertChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive. We're dealing.
Hear those leaves crunching under your feet? Feel that cool nighttime air? It's definitely fall in Ohio. Fall is the perfect time to have the Waterworks inspect and tune up your furnace before the cold winter months hit. To inspect and protect your family against those wintertime furnace breakdowns, call 614-232-2222. Or visit thewaterworks.com today to schedule your fall furnace inspection and tune-up. Winter is just days away.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
APCO, windows, siding, and decks. Business First says we're the largest remodeler in town. Our philosophy is simple. We don't rely on sales gimmicks to get our customers. We rely on our reputation.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can trust APCO.
APCO.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Terms and conditions apply.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows? Oh, no. Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Come try Skyline Chili's new mac and cheese 3-way, made with creamy cavatappi pasta in a 3-cheese blend, topped with Skyline chili and their shredded Wisconsin cheddar. The new mac and cheese 3-way at participating Skyline locations for a limited time.
Hey, it's Anthony. Happy Honda Days are at Germain Honda of Dublin. Rich tells me they're going to help you celebrate your new vehicle with 0% APR up to 72 months on select 24 and 25 models with no payments for 90 days. And leases starting as low as $249 a month. Germain Honda of Dublin, where you'll get same-day service, no appointment necessary. See the dealer for all these amazing details. Strike now at Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road just south of 270.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Adam Schefter here with Vivid Seats. We've got some late-breaking news coming out of the stands. According to multiple sources, Vivid Seats fans are scoring rewards on every purchase and at a rapid pace. Obviously, these rewards are a game changer, and coupled with their MVP-worthy ticket selection, why get tickets anywhere else? Don't drop the ball this season. Shop with Vivid Seats and earn rewards on every ticket. And as the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code Schefter. That's code Schefter.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Rothman and Ice present Buckeye Bulletin.
Sponsored by Logan AC and Heat Services. Don't go through another furnace breakdown. For fast, friendly service, call the experts at Logan Services now for a free estimate and next day furnace installation.
All right, Buckeye Bulletin time. We've told you throughout the day that the spread just keeps inching up on Ohio State and what Vegas thinks of their chance to take down Indiana at home. Well, they should be a favorite. We know that. How much? Anybody's guess, but Vegas is guessing 13, and they don't guess a lot. So they're usually correct. The over-under on the game is 52, which is a decent amount of points, but it probably should be based on these offenses, Rhino. The one thing that's the factor that I assume Vegas bakes into it, they don't know exactly what Mother Nature is going to deliver on Saturday. And if it is rainy, I mean, we do expect it to be cool, not as cold as it's going to be like Thursday, but it's going to be in the low 40s. Maybe by the second half, we could get into the mid to high 40s. Who knows? But this could be one of those games that favors Ohio State, and that Indiana has been a pass-heavy team. They have. And like we talked about with Scotty, they had 18 yards of total offense in the second half against Michigan. Part of that is Michigan smelling a little blood in the water in that game and knowing they could win it. The other part is the pressure that was on Indiana to actually seal that game up and win it. They had, I think, Surratt dropped 2 passes right in his hands for Indiana that could have really clinched the game. And so they had to grind it out. I give them credit for doing it because they are the hunted now, Indiana. You can't be undefeated and top 5 and be the little engine that could the whole season. Now the pressure is on.
And the weather Saturday shouldn't affect anything. It looks like a high of 49, so you may not be there at game time, but mostly cloudy. Doesn't look like it's going to be super windy. So it should be, if Indiana wants to come out and sling it, they should be able to.
Tell you, we were talking about this earlier, and I think it was a great question Biddle asked about if you win the toss, would you be tempted to take it? And he said, yeah. But, I mean, me personally, I would never take the ball. I would always defer. I would always, even if I'm down 7-0, I just always want to be able to get the ball in the second half, whether I'm down or up. I just feel like there is an advantage to starting the second half that way. But I do understand where you're going with this on a team that has struggled to start and wanting to set the tone that we're here to play aggressive, because you know Cignetti will.
And I think that there's stats or reasons for both teams to do this, just like Ohio State. Yep. I think they could make a statement if they go out and march down the field 70 yards and put one in the end zone to say, hey, look, you don't belong here with us. I also think there's reasons for Indiana to take the ball because of Ohio State. They've only given up 9 points in the third quarter all season, no touchdowns at all. There's like, hey, they're really good at coming out of halftime making defensive adjustments, so maybe we'd rather have the ball first in this game and not take it in that third quarter where Ohio State's defense has been so good.
Yeah, that's knowing the way we've seen Cignetti. He's aggressive, and I wouldn't be surprised. And he wins. Google him. Here's Ryan Day on the Hoosiers.
I don't think their players get enough credit. Coaches have done a great job, and they've done a nice job this year. But the players are the ones who play, and they have good players, and they've done a nice job of changing their roster or upgrading their roster in certain areas. I think they play very hard. They are well coached. They take care of the football. They cause turnovers. They play well in special teams, and their best players play on special teams. Like their top running back is back there as a protector in the punt. And which does a lot of things. Like it shows that special teams are important to them, but it also makes you be aware that hey, there's a running back there when you're punting. So I think there's a lot of things they've done, but you can see that they've been very successful in everything they've been looking to do in terms of installing a culture.
He's done it. You cannot take it away from him. And not only can you not take it away, you're going to hand him $8 million a year, which is what they did. Timing of it, a little weird. I know it was the bye week. I think even if I was Coach Cignetti and I agreed in principle to the contract, I would have floated it till after the regular season, the Sunday after the Purdue game. I would not want to steal the headlines this week with, look, I just got a $64 million contract. I think there's time for that. Indiana's motive, maybe I can understand, on saying let's not get to the end of the year and then have other teams, the timing of them coming at you. But losing immediately after signing a piece of paper worth $64 million is not a great thing to add to the layer of prep. Now, yes, he has shut down his players this week, and I texted a couple of friends of mine who went to IU, and I said, boy, are we tightening up a little bit? He's not allowing his players outside of Rourke to talk to the media this week, and every text I got back was, keep them focused, love it. Keep them focused, love it. I don't know. I think it changes things, and I don't know if you want to absolutely change things. An Ohio State fan knows all about that from the 90s. You don't just drastically change who you are because of the game. It's time. The timing of it's weird for me.
I think that is a little different. Like you want to try to keep it business as usual. I think sometimes though, maybe it is. Hey. this is a little different here. And I think that's the biggest thing with this contract extension for them. Maybe they just wanted it out of the way so he could focus on everything football this week if they've been talking about it. It looks bad if you come out and you lose 56-7 to Ohio State this week. It may looks a little bad, but if it's a closer game, I don't think anyone cares.
Well, maybe he was afraid the price would have gone down. Maybe this is the best time to negotiate it.
Yeah.
Well, if he beats them, you're right. He could go back for more. But if he loses to Ohio
price is not today's price.
I don't think you want to play that game when you're coming into Ohio State. But Curt Cignetti is a different dude.
And we live in a different world than we did 30 seconds ago.
He's betting on himself. But I would have said, if I'm him, like, all right, we've agreed in principle. Let's finish the regular season. But I understand his motivation. Here's Ryan Day on the OU transfer quarterback Curtis Rourke to the Hoosiers.
Yeah, no, he's played good football this year, and he has athleticism and can make guys miss and run, and he's seen obviously the numbers that he had leading into the season. So we got to make sure we're playing it honest. But I think he's played good football this year. The numbers speak for themselves, and he's very accurate in what he does, and he knows what he's doing. He's played a lot of football, so he's an experienced guy. So again, great challenge for our team.
Saying all the right things. Then he's right. Rourke's been good. Had the thumb injury, had to sit out, came back. He's been very good. He hasn't been a, quote, runner. He's got some mobility to move in the pocket, but he's not Will Howard. But he was asked about that by Steve Hellwagon, which is another good observation, that this is a go-get-it game. This is a pull-out-all-the-stops game, and Ohio State has been hurt by mobile quarterbacks. But I wouldn't call Curtis Rourke Dylan Gabriel. He's not a runner.
No, but the fact is, he did use his legs when he was at OU a little bit, and he can do that. And again, this is a game where maybe you do something to try to catch the Buckeyes off guard. Indiana, I guess we don't know, but we think Indiana with Cignetti is going to pull out all of the stops, right? They're going to do everything they can to win this football game. And if one of those things is Curtis Rourke beating Ohio State with his legs, that's exactly what they're going to do.
That's the Buckeye Bulletin for today. We'll come back, third hour of the program. We will talk more Buckeyes with our friend Austin Ward at 2:33 up next. The one who got away, or rather was sent away. Should the Bengals be criticized now on that decision? Rothman and Ice in the Fan.
We're known for three things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com, and use promo code JUSTSPORTS to get a welcome bonus up to $100. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Byers Auto, we've been football fans since 1897, back when tailgates had actual tails. Our legacy of supporting our local team is as strong as our commitment to providing exceptional vehicles. While we're known for our new cars, we also offer a variety of pre-owned vehicles that meet our rigorous standards. Our friendly staff is here to help you find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and budget. Visit us in person or shop online at ByersAuto.com. Come see why it's better to buy at Byers.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
At the Home Depot, we know you can't control everything, like when your guests arrive too early for Saturday college football. But you can control your grill. With the Traeger Timberline XL, you can watch the game, not the grill. Monitor your football feast from anywhere using the Traeger app. With the Timberline XL, you can bake, smoke, sear, fry, and saute. That's Desmond Howard level versatility.
Huddle up, the food's done.
Defend your game time with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Shop Dell Technologies Black Friday event for their lowest prices of the year. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. Black Friday is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Baker. Number 2 Ohio State continuing their preparations for number 5 Indiana Saturday at noon in the Shoe. It'll be the third top 5 matchup for the Buckeyes this season. At his weekly press conference earlier, Ryan Day talked about the great challenge this Hoosiers team presents for his defense, especially the defensive backs. He also said that games like this are huge for recruiting. Let's talk a little basketball. The Buckeyes, they look to rebound from their first loss of the season tonight. They are hosting Evansville over at the Shot at 7. Of course, you can hear it all right here on The Fan, beginning with Timmy Hall and the Fan warm-up show at 6. How about those Cleveland Cavaliers? They're 15-0. They're trying to make it 16-0 tonight. They head to Boston to take on the Celtics at 7. This one's sponsored by The Waterworks. Trust the pros at The Waterworks for all your plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling needs. Visit thewaterworks.com today to get started.
Most shows just skim the surface, but Rothman and I feel like the biggest story of the day deserves a closer look. It's time for a deeper dive.
Sponsored by Maxima Concrete. Visit MaximaConcrete.com today to schedule your free estimate.
Final hour of the program, Rothman and Ice. Glad you're with us. Anthony Rothman, Ryan Baker in for the Iceman. CB at the controls. Rarely do I get one this right, but I had Joe Mixon scoring multiple touchdowns last night.
There we go.
And our best bet. However, I shorted him one. The difference between betting Joe Mixon to score 2 touchdowns versus betting him to score 3 was plus 260 to plus 1,100. So it was 2.5 to 1 basically, or 11 to 1.
Man, I thought you'd have got a little more juice out of that squeeze.
The 2 touchdowns?
The 3.
More than, the opponent, that's it, and the fact that he's been that good this year. And so I talked to a Bengal friend of mine this morning, and he played a little bit of revisionist history with me. And the first thing he said was, man, I can't believe the Bengals traded away Joe Mixon. And I said, all right, well, let's go back a little bit. I think what's bothering people is not only is he good still, but they didn't get much for him, right? What was it, a 7th rounder? So, and here's the other thing. He had a lot of the identity in that he had been on their team since 2016, and I think most people would say that it was a fairly solid 7 years in Cincinnati for Mixon. And we all knew that his time was probably coming to an end. And so they replaced him through free agency. So the question was, why? And usually when you ask that question in pro sports, it's money. And so Cincinnati wanted to move on from Mixon for money reasons. I don't think they thought he was washed up or that they had to get rid of him. I think that they were trying to balance it with, wow, this frees up $6 million for us. And they wound up going in that direction. They traded him to the Texans, as I said, for a 7th-round pick. Around the same time, and this is what I told a buddy of mine, Zach Moss was doing pretty good things with the Colts in 23. And I'm not saying he was a direct exchange, but he signed for $4 million. And I don't know how much they would have paid Mixon, and he was shocked about it. But Cincinnati was saving some pretty big money at the running back position. They had the quarterback. They are starting to go through their financials with Joey and Jamar Chase and all that. And I come back to it, say, at the time, I was saying, if you replace Zach Moss with Chase Brown, or you replace Mixon with Zach Moss and Chase Brown, but your identity is throwing the football with Burrow, I didn't hate it when it happened. So I can't tell you I hate it now. I hate it for Bengal fan, what they're watching, what they watched last night. That couldn't have been comfortable. Where were you when it came down to answering the question, did you pay Joe Mixon or let him go?
So I think it sucked for the Bengals because they were in a situation that, if you remember correctly, they almost released him before last season. But it was a situation where the money-wise, and the Bengals are still in this a little bit with T. Higgins. Are they going to pay him or not? Because they've paid Joe. They've paid Trey Hendrickson. You have to think they're going to pay Jamar Chase, even though it's a little contentious here with that right now. But it just came down to a money thing. No, I don't think you want to get rid of Joe Mixon if you can. And it looks really good with Joe Mixon right now. But if you compare the stats, Mixon has 764 yards rushing on the season, playing in 8 games with the 10 touchdowns. Chase Brown in 11 games has rushed for 607 yards and has 5 touchdowns, so the touchdowns aren't quite there. But you got to throw in Zach Moss's 242 and a couple touchdowns as well. So it's not like the Bengals aren't getting any production out of their running back room here. They're still doing pretty good. Joe Mixon is having a great year, and I think it helps him, just like it helped him with Burrow, that he's got a quarterback in C.J. Stroud that can open things up, even though C.J. hasn't played great here recently. But it's not a loss here for the Bengals. It's not a total loss for the Bengals.
Not a total loss. It's the optics are bad based on what we saw last night and the team that he's on and how he's running the football this year. I'm with you. They drafted Chase Brown in the 5th round. That was great value. And I know he had a hammy earlier in his rookie year, but what I saw and what Maddie saw out of Chase Brown was this dude's dynamic. Let's get him the ball, get him some blocking, he's a versatile running back, and let's expand his role. So if I'm thinking about expanding a guy's role who I drafted in the 5th round versus re-signing a guy who had a cap figure of $9 million in Joe Mixon, it enabled me to go sign Zach Moss, who, by the way, probably at the time I thought had more burst than Joe Mixon. I was a little bit one of those guys that when I looked at, by the way, he also was taken off the field on 3rd down for a majority of his career, right? So I think if you're going to be a pass-heavy team with Joe Burrow the last couple of years, why am I going to re-sign a double-digit $1 million running back when I can kind of replace him the way they did? I'm looking at the stats from when they were thinking about this. Joe Mixon, among 34 running backs at the time with 150-plus carries, was 26th in yards per carry of the 34. And so he was 33rd of 34 running backs in yards after contact. He was 22nd out of 34 in explosive plays, 33rd in breakaway percentage. So it's not like Moss would have to replace a player. The only thing he had to replace was the fact that a guy's been maybe one of the best running backs they've ever had. And that was more of just the past and psychology. But I'm not saying this was a slam dunk decision, but at the time, I did not hate it.
And to your point with Joe Mixon, the only time he's been over 4.1 yards per carry in his career were his second season where he was really good at 4.9, and this year with 4.5. He's putting up this production, and Chase Brown is averaging 4.3 yards per carry this year. And I think it's safe to say that Houston maybe has one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. The Bengals do not. The Bengals' offensive line isn't great. So you're getting that same kind of production from Chase Brown, just about that you are from Joe Mixon this year. And Chase Brown, he's a weapon in the passing game, too. He's got 35 catches this year for 207 yards and a couple touchdowns there. So, and I know Mixon has been good in the pass game this year, too, for the Texans. But it's almost a wash here.
It's not a wash from the optics. Joe Mixon has looked very good this year. And maybe it is the team, location, everything about the geography of it, getting a fresh start. And then also having C.J. Stroud, which you mentioned. Here's C.J. on Mixon.
Joe has been amazing. He's been somebody who came in and taught guys how to win more, because we won some games last year, but, he taught guys what it takes to get to that bowl. We're not there yet, but, we're taking strides, and every team goes through adversity throughout the year, so my message to the team and his as well has been, we hit our adversity, let's not look back and let's just march forward and, put our best foot forward. And, we know we can play with everybody, but now we just got to play 4 quarters, and once we do that, we'll be able to be a hard team to stop.
It's all about, it's not a crack on Joe Mixon. It's about running a professional franchise. His time being the guy that he was in Cincinnati was over. They owed him a $3 million roster bonus right before they cut him. He was, how old is he, 29, 28, 29? No, he's not old, but he's not a rookie anymore. And so I think that this is one of those deals where there's a lot more hindsight in it than the Bengals deserving a ton of criticism for letting the guy go at the time they did.
Joe Mixon, 28, which we know for running backs is getting on the older downside of their career. It sounds like I'm different from you in this, too. I think the real loss in this for the Bengals, to me, and you had to get someone else to pair with Chase Brown. I didn't like the Zach Moss signing. I never liked the Zach Moss signing, and unfortunately, he's hurt now, and he's done for the year, but I thought Zach Moss kind of had a career year last year in a Colts offense that was kind of designed for the running game. Zach Moss has never done anything for me. I think there were probably better options out there that they could have got to pair with Chase Brown. But I think all of this could work because they believed in Chase Brown as much as what they had seen the flashes from him. And he has been a pretty good player for them this year.
He was coming off the best season of his NFL career. I didn't know how else to judge Zach Moss.
I understand.
I don't know if it was a complete anomaly that he was good, but
I just never personally saw much from him that I liked.
Catching the ball out of the backfield, and he was having a great year. You didn't like him even in college at Utah?
No, I wasn't I've never been a huge Zach Moss guy.
Then he went to where, Buffalo?
Yes.
Buffalo? Yeah.
Buffalo.
So, I wasn't trying to replace Joe Mixon with Zach Moss. It was always a combo platter, and it was cheaper. And Joe was due money. And so I just think you connect all the dots. You're right, player to player. You know where I was going to go with the next line. Play to player. I was going to say that it's not Mixon versus Moss. It was never that for me, but it was the Chase Brown effect with Moss, cheaper. You found some depth there, and I thought it was a good move at that time of Mixon's career.
I think the big thing that you said in all of that is cheaper. That's what it was. The Bengals needed to cut costs however they could because they've got guys that they've got to pay coming up, and you have to lose some guys. Unfortunately, they may have to lose T. Higgins because they can't pay Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And like we said, Trey Hendrickson, they can't play. There's only so much pie, AR.
Yes, we've learned that. We've learned the whole pie chart with Mike Brown. But, yeah, I mean, their offensive success, and listen, when you have a good running back, it matters. But it was Jamar, it's Joe, it's T, even Tyler Boyd at the time. Like, I think that when he was on, and Mixon, what Mixon gave you was incredible balance to try to keep teams honest, and I'm all for that. I just thought they could still do that with these two guys if the O-line did their part.
And I would argue that losing Tyler Boyd has been more impactful to this Bengals offense than losing Joe Mixon has.
He was not as sure-handed as people think. He dropped a lot of key passes.
But that was a good number 3 with those two, and he could fill in as a number 2 when T. Higgins was out, like we've seen T. Higgins be out some here. And they just had Yoshi Voss has been good. The Mike Gesicki pickup has been really good for them. Jermaine Burton, they haven't gotten what they thought they would out of him. I just think the loss of Tyler Boyd has probably hurt them a little more because they've had nobody step up and really fill that spot where they've had guys kind of the running back position.
Mixon took up pay cut. I'm looking back at his restructured deal after 2022.
Which he had to or they were going to release him.
Correct. But the big thing was they were owned $3 million after the old Ides of March. And that would have been fully guaranteed. And so they wanted to pair Chase with Zach Moss, who they eventually got. By the way, I don't know if it's really right to say that the Bengals are cheap anymore. I don't know if I can just hand that to them immediately. Let's see what happens with Chase. I guess you could label them cheap in that they didn't go after him this year and didn't sign him up for everything, which is, by the way, he's probably hit a wall mentally with that. Like, I feel like he almost has. Throwing the coach under the bus this week and all of that. I just think emotionally he's probably spent to some point. But, you know, they were trying to be smart with their money and not spend it on a 28, 29-year-old running back they owed a lot of money to. And you've got a quarterback who you're relying on to be great.
Trey Hendrickson, we talked about him, $60 million for him. We know Burrow has the massive contract, and you kind of didn't have a choice, right? You had to pay Burrow, just like you're going to have to pay Chase, you would think here. So, yeah, I mean, they're spending some money.
This year, of all years, the running back may really, truly matter. And I'm talking about the top-tier one. Barkley, Derrick Henry,
I think
Jahmyr Gibbs, who, by the way, we cracked them for drafting him when they did, when they already had Monty, and look how good he is. Who else would you say? Well, the only team that really can do it is Kansas City without a true top-tier running back.
I think they've always mattered. And Kareem Hunt for Kansas City has been pretty darn good. And Isaiah Pacheco was pretty good before he got hurt. And losing him forced them to go get Kareem Hunt. I think the top-tier, top-flight running backs have always mattered. I think they're just standing out a little more now because we're getting a switch back to the running game with all these defenses built to protect against the spread offenses in the passing game.
We will come back with pre-snap reads and the Brownies and the Stefanski question. Should they move on for a guy who's already there? Rothman and Ice and the Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island. We're back on Nada Yada Island Confessions. Benny is about to tell us how he found two loves. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks to Metro, I found iPhone 12 and Apple Watch SE.
At Metro, get both iPhone 12 with 5G and Apple Watch SE for only $99.99. Holidays with Nada Yada Yada, only at Metro by T-Mobile.
Bring your number and ID, sign up for Metro Flex Plus, and add a watch line. Not available if you're with T-Mobile or pay with Metro in the past 180 days. Limit 2 per account.
What's better than giving a gift everyone wants? Getting free gas and groceries by earning perks on gift cards purchased at Giant Eagle Market District and GetGo. Choose from hundreds of gift cards to make everyone merry at Giant Eagle Market District and GetGo.
Get organized with a new Dakota Closet system on sale now at Menards. Dakota Closets are versatile and can be installed anywhere, from home offices and laundry rooms to walk-in or reach-in closets and even kids' playrooms. Dakota Closets can be installed with just a screwdriver, and they're available to take home today, giving you more time to organize. Design your dream storage solution using our 3D closet planner. You create closets in-store and on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
You can use your phone at a doctor's office. You can use your phone at a football game. You can even use your phone at an amusement park. But one place you should never use your phone is behind the wheel. Fines now start at $150. So remember, Ohio, phones down. It's the law.
Come try Skyline Chili's new Mac and Cheese 3-Way. Made with creamy cavatappi pasta in a 3-cheese blend. Topped with Skyline Chili and their shredded Wisconsin cheddar. The new Mac and Cheese 3-Way. At participating Skyline locations for a limited time.
All your favorite and least favorite fan shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in 971 The Fan to the search bar and hit that subscribe button. It's free.
We're the land of the free and the home of the sunburnt, freckled fat guy.
Do it now.
Max Bankman, I'm the new doctor.
Welcome aboard the Odyssey.
ABC Thursdays.
This ship is heaven. We're tending to our passengers' dreams. I'm in.
From 911 executive producer Ryan Murphy comes a splashy new drama on a luxury cruise ship with Joshua Jackson and Don Johnson.
It's your job to keep everyone alive.
She's in VFib. 1, 2, 3. Clear.
I have a pulse. You're going to be okay.
Dr. Odyssey. Thursdays, 9/8 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
ABC Wednesdays.
Y'all complain all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises, too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with a new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there? Taking bribes. Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary, Wednesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Did you and your family lose Ohio Medicaid and need health coverage? Check this out. You may be eligible to enroll in a low-cost health plan at healthcare.gov. With the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov offers quality plans that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency care, and more. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You can use your phone at a doctor's office. You can use your phone at a football game. You can even use your phone at an amusement park. But one place you should never use your phone is behind the wheel. Fines now start at $150. So remember, Ohio, phones down. It's the law.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Time now to get a look at that weather report. A dry afternoon today, mild, high 64. A little bit cooler tomorrow with a high of 58. Rain is expected Wednesday afternoon. Rain transitions to snow on Thursday. This will not be a big snowstorm. I'm thinking anywhere between a dusting to a half inch on grassy surfaces. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you could be looking at 1 to 2 inches of snow. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
Bet365 is the exclusive online sportsbook of Rothman and Ice. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Rothman and Ice present Pre-Snap Reads.
Sponsored by the Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
All right, a little Bet365 time, because at Bet365, we don't do ordinary. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Do we ride the Cavs train?
Absolutely we do, AR.
Wow. I agree with you that it's probably better to keep betting them than it is to try to time when they're going to lose. They're a 5.5 point. They're not a dog tonight, are they?
Yes.
Oh, they are. I'm sorry.
Celtics are the favorites.
Yeah, so
5.5 points.
Ooh, so that's intriguing to me. You have to believe that if they lose, they're not going to get cracked. I feel like you got to take the 5.5. Right? I mean, unless you just want to bet them outright to keep winning, you'll get a lot more value. I don't know if I have the guts to do that. 5.5 is a decent amount, like I said. What are we doing?
AR, I cooked up a little 3-leg parlay for this game here. The Cavs are out averaging 123 points a game on the year. The Celtics 121. The over-under in this is 233.5. I went the over on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cavs are going to keep this close, if not win, so I took the 5.5 points. And for the Cavs to do that, they need Donovan Mitchell to have a big game. So I took Donovan Mitchell 25 or more points.
I like the correlated single-game parlay there.
That'll give you odds of plus 320. So if you throw 100 of your soft-earned dollars down, you will come back with 320 in your Bet365 account.
Including you got to include my 100, right?
Yeah.
My 100
you get
plus
your 100
320.
back, plus the 320.
Yeah. If you want to ride that pick with Rhino, do it. And you can do it on Bet365. Because at Bet365, we do not do ordinary. Download the Bet365 app today. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Got to be 21 or older. Must be present in Ohio. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
We had Tyvis on earlier. There's a difference between Kevin Stefanski being safe and Kevin Stefanski should be fired. There's a difference. I'm not in the camp that he should be fired. I don't think that I'm going to put every last ounce of this on him. Here's the problem. You have Mike Vrable. And I'm not here to tell you that Vrable would take the job. If he's got other options, probably wouldn't. But this is very tempting for me. And that's why I kept pressing Tyvis on, do we have to see something, not wins, but do we have to see that Kevin Stefanski can somehow get this team to play tougher and still believe? I don't need the wins. I need them to show up. Because if they don't show up and they're checked out, and maybe I don't know if that's all his fault either, being 2-8, most people would be checked out. And the way they played last week was horrendous in a game that you thought the Jameis Winston revenge tour was going to go a different direction. They wound up throwing for 400 yards. They got cracked anyway because they couldn't tackle. They couldn't tackle Taysom Hill.
Eesh.
Like, when do we eventually put it on players? Like, I know that's not reality completely, but tackle somebody. Like, I just don't understand it. I mean, the coach can only do so much. I'm not in the camp of firing the guy unless, and I'm going to put this disclaimer on it, that it completely goes sideways here now. They're not competitive. They're playing out. They got too many games for them to just completely be checked out.
It can't get much more sideways than it has, right, for them? And they haven't even played the toughest part of their schedule yet. The toughest part of their schedule is now moving forward till the end of the season. You got the Steelers in there twice, the Bengals, the Chiefs. You've got another game with the Ravens coming up. And let's be honest, they won that Ravens game. But if Kyle Hamilton catches the ball, they don't win that Ravens game. Right? I mean, Jameis made a great throw, but he threw 3 to the other team that they dropped. So I don't know how much more sideways it can go for them right now.
I don't know if it's fair to put it all on Stefanski or even put these last remaining 7 games or whatever they're playing left. But I have a little more belief in the guy than maybe I should. I think the Vrable effect is key. Would you move on from him right now?
I'll get to that in a second. So what did you think of him when he was leading your Vikes offense?
Oh, I thought he was a very good offensive mind. Yeah, I thought when the Browns got him, they really got somebody that was really good. Now, he had coached, I think Favre was there when he was coaching the Vikes. They had some ups and downs. Here's the other thing about Stefanski at Minnesota. He had to go through 3 coaching changes. Mm-hmm. Like, he survived all 3 of them. Childress, Leslie Frazier, Mike Zimmer. Like, it was one of those things where we had a great offense with Stefanski, and he had to get Case Keenum to have his best season ever. I saw a lot in that. And so after that season, when the Vikings wanted to interview him, the Giants wanted to interview him and hire him, guess what the Vikings said? You're not even allowed to take the interview. That told me everything that they thought about Stefanski. And so when they signed him to that 5-year contract the Browns did, I was kind of mad about it. I thought he proved so much to me what he got out of Case Keenum.
So here, I have 2 problems with Kevin Stefanski. One is I'm not sure he's a leader of men. I'm not sure he can get people riled up to go say, hey, we're going to follow this guy to freedom, right? I don't think he has that in him. And the other thing, and Bo has talked about this forever.
2-time coach of the year.
He is.
So
Bo has talked about this forever, that Stefanski draws up a play, and he thinks that it doesn't matter who the players are. If they go out and they execute that play right, that it will work. Well, it doesn't always work like that. Football's not a computer. You know, there's different variables and things like that. Sometimes you have a night where things are good. Sometimes you don't. I lost everything in my belief in Kevin Stefanski a few years ago. It was a Thursday night football. The Browns were playing the Broncos, I believe. And you were playing Nick Mullins, your 3rd-string quarterback. And you threw the ball 30 times, and you only gave the ball to Nick Chubb 18. And I think that's a problem, because you have maybe the best running back in football at the time, and you put that much on a third-string quarterback who hadn't been with your team very long, I don't believe, only a couple weeks. Why not ride this guy? Why not give him the ball 25, 30 times in this game to go win a game? Go down with your best player with the ball in his hands, and Stefanski doesn't do that, and I don't like that.
Look at what John Harbaugh did. Took Derrick Henry off the field.
It's insane.
On a 2-point conversion.
Makes no sense.
That guy's considered one of the best coaches in the game. Last year against the Chiefs, they peel off a 10-yard rush, and they don't go back to the running. These coaches get in their own way.
They do, a lot.
But this season there's just been they paid this quarterback to be great.
Mm-hmm.
This is why guys lose their job. I get it, but I don't think Stefanski is the massive problem unless you want a culture change. And if you want a culture change, then Vrabel's there, and they should probably go for it.
I also wonder how much Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry won with the team that John Dorsey built early on, and that team is getting older now and starting to deteriorate, and they've made tweaks to it, and it hasn't been as good.
Yeah. Boy, it's going to be curious on Thursday. Divisional game at home. They're only a 3.5-point dog. They win on Thursday nights. I'm actually curious to see who shows up. We'll come back with Austin Ward. He'll show up next about the Buckeyes, Rothman and Ice on the Fan.
If you miss a live show, you can catch the podcast. If you miss the podcast, our hosts have volunteered to have dinner with you.
Ma, the meatloaf!
The Fan.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, what's all this I hear about seasons free things?
Yeah, we're giving away even more than usual this season.
Free alignment with any Ford tire purchase isn't seasonal, Mike. It's free every day at Tire Discounters.
Sure, but right now, guess what else happens every day?
I know that customers can save up to $250 on Michelin tires.
Absolutely. Now, guess what else?
Mike, I'm a phantom tire buyer with a secret identity. Please don't toy with me.
Okay, here's the deal.
Yes?
We're doing these drawings.
Like a game show.
And one lucky customer per day wins all their money back for 4 tires.
Spectacular! But why call it seasons free things?
You know, season's greetings. It's like a play on words.
Yes, of course it is. I knew that.
It's seasons free things at Tire Discounters. One lucky customer per day wins their money back on tires. Everyone saves big on major brands like Continental. And a free alignment and oil change comes with every 4 tire purchase.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Is your business generating over $1 million a year in revenue? If your financial advisory team isn't keeping pace, maybe it's time for a change. Here's Brad Hennebert with Premier Advisors.
Thanks, Bobby. Our team integrates financial planning and asset management with business accounting and tax preparation. Business owners have planning needs that are unique. We work with you to design a seamless financial services bundle tailored to your business with monthly or quarterly advisory consultations to help guide you along the way. We don't just keep score of what happened last year. Our team combines expert financial planning and wealth management with top-tier tax services, helping businesses like yours build wealth for you. Call us today at 614-524-4888. That's 614-524-4888.
Brad Hennebert is a registered representative offering securities through United Planners Financial Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through TCP Asset Management LLC. Tax services offered through Premier Tax CPAs. United Planners is not affiliated with TCP Asset Management, Premier Advisors, or Premier Tax CPAs.
The Buckeyes are back at the shoe for a Big Ten battle with Indiana.
Live fan coverage starts Saturday morning at 6:30 with the kick at noon.
Every game, every season. Your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options and choose a Medicare Advantage plan. You'll feel confident because you have plan options that fit your needs. You could have a plan with a $0 premium and even personalized care from a wide network of doctors, or all-in-one plans that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. When it comes to the benefits and support you need, Humana has Medicare Advantage plans made for your well-being and your wallet. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
To
Central Ohioans, fall means one thing, football. At Sears Heating and Cooling, fall also means one thing, furnaces. We're not plumbers or electricians. Nope. For 74 years, we've been your Central Ohio heating and cooling experts. Need an electrician or plumber? We'll gladly give you a referral, but we won't pretend to be your one-stop shop for all the trades. We're HVAC experts, and our mission is to provide the highest quality service at the best possible price. That's the local advantage of doing business with your neighbors at Sears Heating and Cooling. Online at SearsHeatingCooling.com.
Lindsay Honda clearance.
Factory authorized clearance on most Hondas in stock.
They'll go fast because Lindsay is offering 0% up to 60 months on every 2024 Honda in stock.
That's 0% up to a full 60 months.
It's Black Friday all month long as the clearance begins at Lindsay Honda.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference.
With approved credit on select in-stock 24 Honda models. Dealer contribution may affect consumer cost.
Rothman and Ice is sponsored by your local Pella Window and Door showroom on Gemini Parkway. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Let's do a little day tripping.
Sponsored by Atlas Butler Plumbing. Call us today at 1-800-FURNACE for all your plumbing and drain service needs. Yes, 1-800-FURNACE works for plumbing, too.
All right, a little day tripping with our guy, Austin Ward, Buckeye reporter, dotting the I's and the podcast, and of course here on The Fan. Austin, good to have you, my man.
Great to be with you guys. Busy week. Another one as Ohio State gets ready for another top 5 showdown, another big noon kickoff, all the fixings here. It's going to be a fun week.
I think Coach Day is respectful, but probably sick of hearing about Curt Cignetti. I just feel like when that question was asked about Indiana, he's like, listen, I think their players aren't getting enough credit. Yeah, they're coaching them and all, but I could almost sense like, hey, I understand it. He is like the it guy now in college football, but I think he's more focused on what Cignetti brings to the table this week. You and I, this rivalry. We know the history. I just called it a rivalry. I can't believe I did. But it's one of those that I'm starting to inch back a little closer to, that Indiana is going to be competitive on Saturday. A couple months ago, when their little story was off and running, I gave them a 0% chance of coming here and winning the game. And I'm walking that back a little bit. I'm not saying they're gonna. I'm just saying that I feel like what he's done there, even though they haven't beaten anybody with a ranked number in front of them, I think a lot of it is real to me now. They believe in him.
The players definitely believe, and I think you can look at the record, of course, more indicative probably of this team than the rankings, if we're being honest. I don't think this is one of the top 5 teams in the country. I don't, if they played anyone in the top half of the Big Ten, I'm not sure where we would see them in the polls at all. And I'm not saying that, Anthony, to take anything away from what Indiana has accomplished or what Curt Cignetti has accomplished, but I do think, because all they can do is play the teams that are in front of them. And they've beaten them all, and we've seen Indiana in multiple years and multiple seasons past not be able to do that. But, I would say I was maybe giving them more credit, and then the Michigan game happened, and I went the other direction. You came away, sounds like a little bit more convinced that it's going to be competitive and a test for Ohio State. I think their struggles against a pretty mediocre Michigan team, that was the first time they had to go against someone with personnel that you would think could actually step on the field and look at the last few years. And we know what Michigan's capable of, and when they're at their best and they're limited offensively with their quarterbacks, I think that's what maybe gives a different appreciation or diminishes some of my appreciation for what Indiana has accomplished.
Yeah.
And I don't see that to like question what that being 10-0. Like, they believe in him, and that's why they've won all those games to this point.
After the Northwestern game, Ryan Day made sure he commented about the fan support and all the red in Wrigley Field and across the street up at Wrigleyville. Last night on Buckeye Roundtable, he said they're really going to need the fans this Saturday, and they're going to need to make it a great atmosphere. And then today, in his opening comments, without being asked, he talked about needing the fans again this weekend. Is this a product of the atmosphere in the shoe hasn't really been great? These noon games is making it harder for the fans to get up for these games, or Ohio State is really going to need every advantage they can this week to beat this Indiana team? He said it 3 times now, so there's obviously something Ryan Day's looking for.
Yeah, and Will Howard mentioned it as well, because whether this Ross Bjork has been going through his first year here as athletic director, and Ohio State saw what it was like at Oregon and the noise and how that impacted things. They saw, Penn State fans arrive early and be loud. That it was a helmet stripe game, not a whiteout game, but they were loud, and that place was deafening after the pick six early in that game. And it's not that Ohio State or the Horseshoe can't get to that level. I think, and I've seen it that way many times for noon games, especially. That's when the game is always played. I think that the fans take that challenge. They certainly show up early and loud and vocal when the opportunity is needed for those biggest games and biggest rivalries. But, this year and even last year, there weren't a ton of opportunities where it was like you knew for a noon game that the Horseshoe was going to be the 12th man or the decided home field advantage. And I don't think that's anybody's fault. People want to point to Fox and Big Noon and the difficulties of, getting to campus for that. I mean, getting to Wrigley Field when the bars open, I don't think was a piece of cake for anybody, and that was 11 a.m. Central Time. So it's not like Ohio State fans won't show up for those situations when it's called for or when they have to be there. I think it's just a reminder. This is a top 5 opponent coming in. This is a playoff game in terms of Ohio State getting to Indianapolis to win the Big Ten championship, and there aren't many places that are going to get 100,000 fans in there to support their team and maybe tilt the scale. So I don't know that it's questioning the atmosphere, questioning the desire, any of that. It's just like, hey, this is the time we need you, and we can't change what time it's going to kick off. Treat it like it's, however you have to adjust, treat it like it's prime time, because that's what's going to be required. And I don't think Indiana, or anybody, when the Horseshoe is rocking, it is tilting the field. It is putting Ohio State in position to win games. Yeah, listen, I'm just thinking now that it could be more competitive than I thought it would be a month ago. That's all. You're right. I completely watched that game against Michigan. They met their match, but I would say this to you. I think Indiana felt more pressure to beat Michigan than they do this week. I think that that game at home psychologically solidified their dream season. I think that this one is more of a little bit of nothing to lose, even though I know they have a ton to lose because they're not in the playoff automatically if they lose the game. I just feel like this one now sets up for Indiana a little differently than last week did in my mind. I was surprised the way Ohio State got pushed around in the first quarter against Northwestern. And then they finally pushed back, and a crazy turnover on the punt snap certainly changed the complexion of that game. But what do you think of the first quarter there against Northwestern? I thought they were not looking like they showed up for that one. Yeah, it's interesting, Anthony, because there's been a handful of games like this where, because Ohio State is choosing, Ryan Day has talked in previous years about the rule changes and the lack of possessions and the lower number of plays. Ohio State is making a conscious effort to play at a slower tempo this year. And so when you have games where you don't come out and get an immediate 3 and out, or if you let somebody drive down the field and get some third down conversions, this isn't the first time that it's happened for Ohio State. They go out and they sort of feel their way. This will sound silly because Northwestern is not a heavyweight fight by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like Ohio State is more willing to throw some jabs and dance around in the ring against anybody. And then once they figure out what you're going to do, then they attack you, whether that's immediately in the second quarter or whether that shows up like the Iowa game in the third quarter and they start pulling away. I feel like they just sort of go out and on a fact-finding mission in games. And we talk a lot in the media and in evaluating Ohio State specifically about, well, start fast and then you can, pull guys out and rest in the second half. And I don't think that this coaching staff believes, this will also sound silly. I guess everything I'm saying does, but they're not viewing this as like the out-of-half style points. They have to immediately score every time they have the ball. Ryan Day sort of made a comment about that a couple hours ago. It's like, they're not going to play perfect games, and I don't think that they want to put themselves behind the 8 ball and fall behind again the way that they did against Penn State. And that's not to rationalize or justify that, like, you could go out and get off the field against Northwestern quicker and not have to rely on a forced fumble when you start getting down around the red zone. But that's what happened, and then they responded, and they took more punches than I would have anticipated. I completely agree with you on that front, Anthony, but I think they believe, and this was true against Nebraska, even though we were critical of the energy and the passion, they think over 60 minutes their talent is going to win out, and their coaching and their adjustments and their schemes are going to win out. And by and large, they're proved correct.
Yeah.
Indiana, you don't want to give them the hope because of exactly what you're talking about. I agree with you. If you give them another reason to believe on Saturday, like Curt Cignetti, I don't think is going to throw away his chances the way that maybe James Franklin would.
Yeah.
So they will be aggressive. They will gamble. And I do agree with you on that front. You can't let them continue to believe because they don't have anything to lose on Saturday.
That's it. It's a different psychology. Brand new coach, brand new players. None of those guys have decades built up of psychology against Ohio State. It's one game. It's Saturday, and it should be fun. Thanks, my man. Great conversation. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. See you guys. Thanks.
Yep. That is Austin Ward. I agree with him that Ryan Day has kind of switched in a, I'm not worried about nitpicking my team in the public. I care about one thing, and that's a W. And I want to get the last W this year that exists. I think he's taken a layer of pressure off his team that we don't have to look like number one every week. We just have to win.
No, and I think we all forget that sometimes now. We want it to look perfect. We want it 56-7 every week. It wasn't like that in 2002, but it doesn't change our view of the national championship.
We come back with Tell the Truth to wrap it up. Rothman and Ice and the Fan.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan. Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, Jerry. Here's something that ECO stands for that you did not see coming. Okay. Echocardiogram. I did not see that coming.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Most people think if they call someone about their furnace or heat pump, some unscrupulous salesman is going to pressure them to buy a whole new unit, even if their old one could be repaired and give them years more service.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Your heart starts racing and you're sweating and breathing funny and your echocardiogram just goes nuts. I'll say. As the guy who invented those hospital wristbands that always stick to your arm hair, I know a thing or two about echocardiograms.
Get Eco.
ECO.
But call ECO and our team will explain all your options, what you can fix, how much it costs, and how that compares to a whole new system. And your echocardiogram? Nice and flat. I mean flat-ter. Actually, flat is bad. Don't worry, they didn't let me invent any of the medical stuff.
Get Eco.
ECO.
ECO plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians. GetEco.com.
Looking for your next Subaru? At Byers Airport Subaru, we give you options from start to finish. Browse and shop entirely online from the comfort of your home at ColumbusSubaru.com or stop by and visit one of our friendly brand specialists just by the airport.
Right now, you can get a new 2025 Subaru Outback for 2.9% for up to 72 months.
Whether you prefer to click or come in, we've got you covered. Your journey starts at Byers Airport Subaru. Come see why it's better to buy at Byers.
Subject to credit approval. Financing offer term up to 72 months on 2025 Subaru Outback. Cannot be combined with any other incentive. See dealer for details. Offer ends 12/2/24.
When you have the lowest prices every day feels like Black Friday. That's why Bob's is unboxing incredible values every Friday in November. Oh, no, not a boxing match. We're unboxing unbeatable values for your home. We're talking beautiful bedroom sets, feature-packed power sofas, dining sets, pop-up sleepers, decor, and more, all at wow-worthy prices. Now you're getting it? So check back every Friday for a new unboxing, because every day is like Black Friday at Bob's Discount Furniture.
It's time for some Thursday night brownies. Yes! Catch the brownies as they battle the Steelers from the land.
Live coverage starts Thursday night at 6 on ESPN Columbus and the Fans HD2.
Your home of the Browns, the Fan.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Is your business generating over $1 million a year in revenue? If your financial advisory team isn't keeping pace, maybe it's time for a change. Here's Brad Hennebert with Premier Advisors.
Thanks, Bobby. Our team integrates financial planning and asset management with business accounting and tax preparation. Business owners have planning needs that are unique. We work with you to design a seamless financial services bundle tailored to your business with monthly or quarterly advisory consultations to help guide you along the way. We don't just keep score of what happened last year. Our team combines expert financial planning and wealth management with top-tier tax services, helping businesses like yours build wealth for you. Call us today at 614-524-4888. That's 614-524-4888.
Brad Hennebert is a registered representative offering securities through United Planners Financial Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through TCP Asset Management LLC. Tax services offered through Premier Tax CPAs. United Planners is not affiliated with TCP Asset Management, Premier Advisors, or Premier Tax CPAs.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Saturday is game day on The Fan.
Sponsored by Riker Chevy.
Every game, every season, you're home of the Buckeyes. The Fan. Tell the truth with Rothman and Ice.
Sponsored by Twin Peaks, home of the 29-degree draft beer.
All right, CB, take us home.
All right, a quick quiz kid for you, because I don't know if a lot of people know this information, but this is not the first game that Curt Cignetti has coached in Ohio Stadium. My question to you is real quick. Can you name the last time he coached in the Horseshoe?
I think we can.
That's pretty funny because we were just talking about this at break.
It's amazing how mine's... So I covered this game, and it was when NC State came into the shoe with Phillip Rivers. Chuck Amato was the head coach, and Cignetti was on Amato's staff.
I believe he was the quarterback coach.
Quarterback's coach, yes.
He was.
The 3 overtime game. I still remember that goal line tackle where
03?
I believe... 03.
Yeah,
I believe the running back's name was McClendon, where he lands butt first at like the half-yard line and then falls back into the end zone.
Technically, he coached in both games of the series, but yeah, the question was the Horseshoe game, which is correct, 03.
Listen, he recruited Russell Wilson to try to come to NC State. By the way, before he went to Bama to join Saban.
Mr. Unlimited.
That guy, too.
And he was a wide receiver coach at Bama, correct?
Yes, he was. When he left NC State.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
All right, let's start with some of these heavy favorites this weekend with tough matchups, I think, on the opinions of most people. And I'll say this because I want to include the Notre Dame game with the Ohio State game here. So Ohio State's a 13-point favorite. We know that right now against Indiana on Bet365. Notre Dame has a tough matchup with that triple option of Army, a very good offense, but they are a 14-point favorite in that game. So the question is, tell the truth. Which big favorite would you rather back in those two scenarios?
Notre Dame. If I had to lay the points?
Well, I'd rather back Ohio State, but you guys already know that makes me nervous as could be. So
I would
have to take Notre Dame.
But this game's not in South Bend. You said it's in the Bronx? Where is this game?
Oh, I'm not sure. I thought it was at Notre Dame at first, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah, no, aren't they playing it at Yankee Stadium? Or am I completely thinking of another year?
They have done that in the past, I know. Pulling it up right now.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it looks like it is at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So they're going to lay a little more. I just feel like that one's a little more of a tough matchup for Army, and the spreads are about even. Are you saying back those favorites laying the points?
That is right.
Yeah. So you got to lay, 15 and a half with
the reason why I brought it to everyone's attention is I think Army's really good at time of possession, and they've also only trailed like for a short period of time, maybe in the last game for the first time all season.
They've had a couple close games with them.
And they almost took up an entire quarter against North Texas with a ball.
Like I say, it's a lot of points until it isn't.
That's a big number for Indiana, though, I think. It makes 13? Me nervous. Yeah, makes me
15
nervous.
and a half to Army isn't exactly nothing, but...
No, but it just makes me nervous.
You're not even playing.
And that, my boy, is the damn truth.
All right, I want to take a quick look at the Browns' schedule because I'm trying to see where the possible wins are the rest of the season. And it probably fits well to the attempt to tank for a very good draft pick in April. But just looking at it real quick, they host the Steelers on Thursday night this week. They are on the road at the Broncos and the Steelers. Then they host the Chiefs, on the road at the Bengals, home against the Dolphins, and then on the road at the Ravens. The question is, would you take the over or the under on 1.5 wins?
So, AR, I'm not going to lie here. I don't see a win on that schedule. Now, it's the NFL and crazy things happen, so the Browns are going to get at least one, I would have to think. But there's no way. I don't see 2 wins on this schedule. Nowhere. I mean, the best game maybe the Broncos, but you got to travel to Denver and play at Mile High. I have to go under on this.
Yeah, I'm going to go under on it as well. I can't wait to see what the spread is going to be eventually on that Kansas City game when they come to Cleveland. I've pointed this out for a month, and whether this is wrong or not, I don't know. But I can't believe on these look-ahead lines, it's got to be a mistake that Kansas City is only right now a 2.5-point favorite at Cleveland. I don't get it.
If you can bet it, jump all over it.
I don't really understand what somebody knows that maybe if Kansas City was undefeated at that time going in, you could say that maybe somebody would get them and they'd play spoiler. But I'm going to take the under with Rhino on this one because even if they beat, and listen, I said they've won 8 straight Thursday night games at home, but I agree with you. I can't find 2. I can find 1. Maybe if the weather's horrible Sunday against Miami in late December, they might be able to hang in that game and win that game. But I don't believe they're winning at Pittsburgh, and I don't believe they're winning at Baltimore. Probably not at Cincinnati, depending on if Cincinnati's still involved in anything then. Boy, they have 2 Thursday nighters on the way out and a Monday nighter.
I was going to say that Miami game is a Thursday nighter, right?
It's amazing.
And the truth shall set you free.
Oh, man. Hey, Rhino, great job, bud. Glad you came in.
It was fun.
It was fun. We got to do that again. We hope Maddie's back, but we'll keep you in the bullpen if needed. We will have a big Wednesday for you. We will have Adam Schefter on tomorrow, as we always do on a Wednesday. We'll try to work around Z's schedule with the Jackets so we can do Hockey and Hounds, and we'll have a loaded show for you. What do you got coming up tonight? You out of here now?
I got nothing. I'm going to go work on some Friday night football stuff. So, but I'll be here. I'll be here all day tomorrow.
All right. So you're a warm body in the building.
That's right. I'll be ready.
And that counts for a lot here at the Fan.
Loosening up the right arm right now.
Common Man and T-Bone up next. Rothman and Ice in the Fan.
Death, taxes, and beating Michigan every damn year. This is your flagship home for Ohio State football. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is a Fan Action Update.
Download the Prime Sports Ohio app today or visit primesportsbook.com and use the promo code JUSTSPORTS for a welcome bonus of up to $100. Buckeye Hoops back in action tonight against Evansville at 7. Ohio State's a 26.5-point favorite over the Purple Aces. The Buckeyes over-under total points is 87.5, and Evansville is 60.5. For your Prime Sports Action Update, I'm Scotty Vegas.
Hey, fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football, it's a pepper thing.
Looking for your next Subaru? At Byers Airport Subaru, we give you options from start to finish. Browse and shop entirely online from the comfort of your home at ColumbusSubaru.com or stop by and visit one of our friendly brand specialists just by the airport.
Right now, you can get the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester for 4.9% for up to 72 months.
Whether you prefer to click or come in, we've got you covered. Your journey starts at Byers Airport Subaru. Come see why it's better to buy at Byers.
Subject to credit approval. Financing offer term up to 72 months on 2025 Subaru Forester. Cannot be combined with any other incentive. See dealer for details. Offer ends 12/2/24.
If you're struggling with ED or your performance is down and your belly fat is growing, listen up. You've got one life. Now is the time to act.
At the Columbus Men's Clinic, we're not just healthcare, we're your secret weapon. Don't wait another day. Here's why you need to act right now.
Every moment you delay, your condition could worsen. It's not just about sex, it's about your heart, your relationship, your life.
The Columbus Men's Clinic has over 10 years of proven results for low testosterone and increasing drive, energy level, and performance. We've introduced ED and enhancement treatments so exclusive, you'll wonder why you waited.
Procrastination is the thief of time. When it comes to your sexual health, you can't afford to wait. Join the League of Gentlemen who've walked out of our doors with a swagger.
Call the Columbus Men's Clinic at 614-300-7400 or visit columbusmensclinic.com. Book your $99 male performance consultation now, including blood work. Call 614-300-7400 or visit columbusmensclinic.com. The Columbus Men's Clinic, making it happen.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Rita, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get